Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it!
From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
And I am Anthony Sier, and the pleasant welcome to Focus on Liberia. And you heard it there. We are about educating, elevating, promoting, and I will add debating everything Liberia. We are here for another debate on a very serious and consequential topic, not only relating to our dear country Liberia, but the mondo continent of Africa. Our panelists and debaters are seated well-versed with the issues, and we're going to debate a consequential topic about the continent of Africa, specifically Liberia. The topic is just simple. Is democracy as we know it bad for Africa, for Africans, and in Liberia in particular? That is the topic we want to debate. If it is not all that bad, then what are the problems with it? And what can we do with those problems that we have with democracy? Is this good for us? Does it even, is it part of our culture? Some people think it's working in other places. Maybe we don't know how to use this model of governance. That's why we are struggling with it. And so others are saying, throw that thing through the window. We existed as a people. We thrive. We build kingdoms. We build civilization way before the thing called democracy. And then others are saying, whoa. This was even borrowed from us by the Westerners. And now it's something that is coming back to us. So what is all this noise? The problem is just us and not the model of governance called democracy. Hey, this is the kind of debate I like. And if you are just joining us, I urge you to share the broadcast with somebody. This is Focus on Liberia, where we debate the issues. Here and seated, ready to go, is Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. He's focused on Liberia, new progressive commentator. Dr. Pearson, welcome, my good friend and brother. How you doing? How's family?
Well, thank you, Anthony. I'm doing okay. Family is good. And hi to my fellow panelists, our viewers and listeners out there. Listen, I think this is a healthy discussion. And I'm looking forward to having a discussion where we can discuss about democracy and how it may relate to Africa, beneficial or not. The more we talk about this thing, the more we're probably going to get it right. Thank you.
All right. Also, see, there is Mr. Joe Tao, my good friend. And he is like, look, this thing is foreign to our culture. We have been wasting our time with this thing. He's here to debate the issue. Joe, welcome. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, welcome, Mr. Sear, and hi to my fellow panelists and to our viewers. Yes, I am of the position that this is not working for us, and it was never meant to work. It was designed to restrict us and to open up our political system to manipulation from outside, and we should get rid of it or modify it to where it can suit and fit us culturally. Let be African centered.
Thank you. We have the man, Sekou Kala, is here. Sekou, where do you stand on this debate?
Well, thank you, Anthony. Thanks for having me, and greetings to all the panelists. I'm very excited to be here. You know, it's always good to be on Focus on Liberia, where we discuss some of these important issues about our continent and our country. Well, the topic tonight really is, for me, I don't know if it's a yes or no issue. It's something that we have to interrogate and then follow the evidence. So for me tonight, I will say that if we compare the evidence to see where we are right now, there's a need for introspection. There's a need to redefine stuff. I can go as far as to say we don't need it. I will say, can we redefine it to suit our current reality?
Excellent. He's saying he's not sure if democracy suits our current reality, and so we should look at it, reimagine it, and probably modify it to be or look like who we are. Well, the man, Stephen McGill, is seated. Mr. McGill, we are talking democracy. Do we need this thing? Is it working for us? What is your stand on this subject when it comes to this debate, my friend?
What the pros and cons, my brother? I want to say thank you to the viewer out there. We can see that, yes, it's good. Good in the sense that it's helped us to prevent that bullet. At least since 2003 and coming to election in 2005, we've had transition from one government to another government. Great sense, and we've met indicators and met benchmark expectation of the democratic definition itself, getting rule of order and all of that. But it's a good in a sense. There are some bad side of it and there's some good side. But I know one thing it have done to Liberia, it has divided us more and have caused family to separate, family to even fight against each other, family to even push people under the curve. I was in my garden yesterday and in West Virginia. West Virginia is very, 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 very the current government running. And I said to myself, I said, well, I see a lot of primary elections here and the both party from the two party area. And you see how divisive it has been in my area. You see people fighting against each other and just on that division. So what has it done? There are more division and division and hate because of the rhetoric behind it. And to me, it looked like a game. And if you don't know how to play that game properly, you can overdo it and misuse power in terms of the rules out there. But we need to incorporate the good practices of our own with a leadership style in our area. So it need to be a mixture of all and a balanced system to correct the processes. There's some ills, there's some good, and there's some bad.
All right. That was Mr. Stephen McGill there and giving his stand on this debate. Gentlemen, let us get started here. And my first question, given your position, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Tao. What is your fundamental problem with democracy right now, for which you think we have to take a very serious look at it, and that it is not working as it should for us?
Okay. So thank you, Mr. Anthony. Let me make this clear to my fellow panelists and viewers. I think we are confusing two things or not making clarification.
Okay.
Democracy is not unique. It's not something that is ascribed to Europeans. We're talking about Western style democracy. That is the one they gave us. Because long before they came, we practiced democracy. The 8-year system that they have that is split into two, the Wolof in West Africa, the Omoro people in East Central Africa, and even the Hausas in North Central Nigeria, all throughout the place. The Ashanti Empire in Ghana, we practiced democracy, and the way we did it was 8 years, straight 8 years. So they borrowed this from you when they came and they saw it, straight 8 years, and this is how it worked. People, whenever you are born in the community, the men are registered in categories, the women are registered. You're put in the age grades, and you go through the educational system, and you are cultivated throughout. And what they did was, when this next generation arrived there, and they are selected, but then the people vote for who is actually going to be at the top. That group have 8 years. In the 8 years rule, when the 8 years over, they exit the whole scene, and the next generation, that age grade behind them, come in. This is how. So this is democracy, participatory democracy. No money involved, no campaigning. Nobody's going to lobby and come and tell you this is the kind of bill you should pass. There was none of those. The Western style democracy, and this democracy that I'm talking, that Africa practice, that still exists even in the villages, is based on a communal collective system, believing that the family and the community is the creator of all things and the overseer. In Western democracy, they see the individual. So you see, they made it to be how you call it, a liberal style kind of stuff. Liberal system, liberalism can work a little bit in a society where they're homogeneous. What do I mean by that? What make the French? They're purely French. So when you have the liberal democracy that is based on division, already back and forth, the division become very little because they are all of the same language group and very, very similar culture. If you want to go look at the history, when the Germans and the Dutch were together before they separated and they tried to practice democracy, they went to war. When the Belgian and the French were together, when they tried to practice this a liberal multi-party, they went to war. The English and the French, they went to war. All these records. So what they did, they saw it that no, it's not going to work. So what did they do? They separated. If you go to Germany, they're purely Germans. Then it worked. When you go to England, they're purely English. When you come to Holland, they're purely Dutch. When you go to France, they're all completely almost French. Now take this system and bring it into an area where, based on colonization, they divided up the 4 different language groups that had their own kingdom. They forced them and they cut them, like some of the stuff was saying. You have the Gisi people in Liberia, their whole kingdom. They cut them, they left some in Sierra Leone, they left some in Liberia, they left some in Guinea. Now you put all these people together and you tell them to practice something that creates division. So everywhere that you see Western style democracy, tribalism increase, because if I'm from a tribe, my tribal people are going to jump behind me. If Mr. Magee is from his tribe and he's running his tribal, so this is where this whole stuff, that is what creating the mess. But before we even have this question, before we even discuss this, the question that Africans fail to always ask is, if somebody bring you something, the first question we should ask is, what is actually the interest for which they want us to practice this form of life or this political model? That's the first thing. I'm about the rest. Then the second one is, who does it benefit if we practice it? Who actually does it benefit? If it is not benefiting, then why are they insisting to the point of even destabilizing entire nations and continents that this must be practiced?
Thank you. Dr. Pearson, I want you to take a scholarly look at democracy as a whole. From what I just provided, one would think that democracy is not only the Western democracy as he classified it, that issue, or it has some forms. So help us understand if democracy have forms, what are those ones you know? And if there are issues with any, please point that out for the understanding of our audience. Please, I know that is a tough task, but if anybody can handle it, that's you.
You know, thank you, Anthony. And I want to say to my brother Tao that I think you start off on a good footing by trying to suggest that democracy in itself by nature is not quote unquote a one-fit-all situation, that we can just say democracy is just Western, that it originated with the Westerners, right? You also alluded to the fact that democracy is also a part of the African context in terms of leadership. And it is on that premise I would like to begin with, to say, first of all, it will help us to understand what is it that we want to argue against here. So in my mind, what I heard you mention is you are trying to argue against Western liberal democracy.
Yes.
Right? Western
The
liberal
one that we're
democracy.
practicing now. Yes.
Yeah, that's the major concept that majority of the Pan-Africanists are targeting. And they bring close to that Western liberal democracy the issue of capitalism, where the richest guy who controls the money and the wealth live a lavish life, and then the poor remain poor and the rich gets richer. There's not an equitable distribution of wealth and resources within the country. America is an example. Elon Musk just became a trillionaire overnight, and when we still have people sleeping on the streets in New York City and in California, and this is the most we call, quote unquote, one of the strongest democracy in the world. Some may argue that. But my question to you is that we should be able to dissect what makes whatever you're trying to ascribe to Africa different from what we call Western liberal democracy. Because from the question Anthony is asking, in my mind and from a scholarly standpoint, when the Western liberal democracy come to play, they are concerned about people governing themselves, people having the right to choose who govern them, people having the rights to decide how long you can govern them. People want to have rights to do certain things and not be limited by others for doing certain things. People want to have the right to speech, the right to movement, the right to own property, the right not to be subjugated by a certain group of people who they consider elite. Now, when I look at the minimum African experience of democracy, I do see, yes, there you talk about consensus amongst the elders, right? Where the elders get together and decide how the town should go. But you know what worries me, Anthony, is what Tao is not saying. What Tao is not saying is that yes, Pan-African advocates strongly oppose elections, because if elections does not fix the country, like my brother Miguel mentioned, it kind of in a way put a wedge between us. We go to campaign, we come back more divided than we're united going into the campaign. Tao mentioned, or another person mentioned, there's so much money infused into it. But again, when you look at African culture, we did not have a perfect system, even as the Western liberal democracies may not be perfect. So I'm asking you, Tao, and if the moderator can help me for the other panelists to draw into this, what is going to replace the Western liberal democracy? Because the last time I checked, I see people arguing for developmental authoritarianism. I see people arguing for indigenous consensus democracy. I see people arguing for technocratic elite governance. I see people arguing for military-led transitional rule. But all of these things are not perfect in themselves. So what is it that you find that is not working, that you feel that must require this whole thing to go out of the window, that we need to argue here so I can know how to address it?
Okay. You're muted. You are muted.
And Sekou, let me come to you. I want to get your perspective yet. Dr. Clarence just made a very salient summation here. All right. If those who have qualms with Western style liberal democracy and want to see it either replaced, either aborted. Pearson is asking a question: what do we replace it with?
Right.
Talk to us. You think Western liberal democracy should be replaced? And if so, why are we replacing it with? And what are the reasons we think we need to modify it so it can suit our realities, as you put it earlier?
All right. Well, thank you, Anthony, and thank Dr. Pearson for that great question, because the question Dr. Pearson asked is very important. He said, what is the alternative? What are you proposing? This is bad. Okay. What are you proposing? And I think that's a very intelligent question. We must answer it. But before I answer that question, I have to say that, first of all, we have to be honest to say if the reason why we adopted democracy is because of development, then where is the development? If we adopted democracy because we wanted what you would call a very free society where the government officials or government are held accountable, the rule of law, they say. Well, when you look at the governments in Africa today, are they accountable to the people? If you look at Ouattara, for example, in Ivory Coast, who came in 2011 and now going to his fourth term, is he abiding by the rule of law? So where is the democracy? Is this the word that we use? Is this the speech? Or actually, can we find it? Is it tangible? We don't see it. And what about the condition of the people? If democracy equals development, why are we the poorest in the world since we adopted multi-party democracy in the 1990s? Let's take Liberia as a specific example. Since we went into it, where are we now since the 1990s when we got the multi-party democracy? Are we better off? I think that's the question that people are asking. As to what do we propose, I think that's the work of the intellectuals. Because if I'm in a boat and I am going to a particular destination, and that boat keep turning around and I'm not getting to the destination, I have the right to ask the question, is this boat able to take me there? Because I've been here for hours and I'm not getting there. So for you to ask me, do you want to go by plane? What else do you propose? Yes, I can propose something, but the first thing I identify my condition that I am not getting there. The vehicle that has been offered to me is not taking me there. So there's something wrong with the vehicle. So then now it's time to think. For me, for someone to say, let's go back to the tradition and just bring back what we used to do, still, I think that is called renaissance. To rebirth what you used to have, to rediscover your ancient past and bring it into modernity. So you can't just photocopy it like that or bring it, just the way it was in the ancient time. You need to bring it to fit into the modern condition to answer the questions of modern challenges. So that's what I'm saying. The traditional system will not fit 100% to fix our situation. We, the thinkers of the African continent, need to think now. If the Western democracy was superimposed on us and now is not working, we have to start thinking, how do we manage our diversity? Different tribes, ethnic groups, and languages. Because the modern democracy that we have, it marginalizes the minority. The tyranny of the majority is what we have. The individualism that Dr. Pearson made allusion to. Of course, we have individualism today on the continent where the collective interest is not being the center of discussion. It's about individual. It's about me. I've become rich. I have the mansion and I live in the poorest area in Claratown, but I live in an upstairs building where I can look down on everybody in Claratown. And then all these people don't even have toilet or running water. They dance for me. When I arrive in the airport, the women come, they put a wrapper down, they dance. After the president have gone for medical care abroad, he comes back and the poor people dance for him. So the democracy we have is a disgrace. So I think we need to rethink. As to what we propose, I am saying, I don't think I have something I can give you right now to say this is the 100% alternative, but I'm saying the vehicle that is taking us on this destination is faulty. That's my diagnosis.
Thank you. Mr. Miguel, let me come to you. Sekou is saying the democracy is not taking us the promise of democracy has not been delivered to the African men, to the African continent. It has not delivered to Liberia. And so basically he asking the question, is this working for us? And he believes that it has not been working for us because he went further by saying, look, the democracy was brought as a model that will bring about development. Have we gotten the development? So the vehicle that was offered us to take us to the destination of freedom, the rule of law, is not happening. My question is it working for us, or are we the problem of it?
Well, for me, I will be blunt and say it is working for us, but however, it is also a tools that are being used to marginalize us. So, in my point and my thought and presentation will be that we, the people, by the people, for the people, should continue and be inclusive before and after. So, for example, we know that we come to the whole majority, minority side, the opposition and the current government. We know that's the star. No matter what we do, we can see from our calculation and our statistic and our prognosis, you have a group of people that are many versus a group of people that are low. So in other area, the stronger people who comes together will always be the people in a part. But there should be a way to put into places to correct those ills in terms of accountability, transparency, and inclusiveness of the entire population that we want to change or develop their life. For
So,
me,
Margaret, you said it's working for us. What are the evidence?
the evidence is that we've been able to hold elections, we've been able to show example to people, we've been able to bring in money because that's how we get it. That's how we bring in all of money, but it also come to catch 22 on putting the right information in places for us to know our right. So you talk about the educational aspect and know that how many persons know that you're voting this man and tomorrow you can also unseat this man. I've had people who fight and come out and say, oh, I voted him because I like him. The man has a time and he loves us. But is there another way to say we're thinking? Okay, before you go and come and cast a vote, I want to tell you, say, we have 7 million people in Liberia. Can we include those 7 million people in Liberia to take them out of poverty? That is to say, put in a budget $1 million for each Liberian person across the landscape with that accountability and transparency in terms of balancing the culture. Because if you still gonna go there, the politician come and hack up, it's a whole cartel. Because they come up in the process of using this game that was fascinated by the liberal democracy work that work on the minds of the people.
I don't know. You said it's working, but then you call it a cartel, and you say it's working because we've been having elections.
Yes, so it's about the rich. It's about the rich people. The rich people came and overtake the whole process. So I'm trying to get to you to understand that yes, it's happening this way. If everybody is taking on the property and educated and know the best, the people make decisions, and that part will be one group of people who just overlap in terms of that cash violence. I've seen it, I feel it, and I think it's about point that we come out and say, okay, before I vote for you, or before I go into elections, it's about us, by us, and for us, and not for a few group of people.
So in essence, you have problem with the results
Yes,
of this successful election you're talking about.
yes.
So if the
Definitely.
results are bad,
Yes,
how is
but
that a success for us, Mr. Miguel?
the success is that we've been able to keep the guns from flying. You could not be in Liberia when you still have guns flying. In
So
West
you saying
Africa,
that guns are not flying, we're not hearing border sound because we've been able to have elections?
yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling
Because
you
there are
that.
other societies that are not having elections. Guns are not flying, Mr. Miguel. That's why I asked you the question.
But stay, are they better? The change that narrative is why I'm proposing to
A
you to
lot
say
of those
we,
societies are better than us, who have been practicing democracy for all these years, Mr. McGill.
because we are still ill in terms of our mindset.
All
We are
right.
still in terms of our mindset in terms of and being mature enough to understand and grab the concept and use the concept to the best interest of the people.
Thank you. Mr. Tao, Sekou is saying this is not working for us. And I'm sure you share the same But the critical question that is here, what do we replace it with?
Okay. So because I wanted to make that point, and Sekou, thanks very much. You see the point that Sekou made. I've been making that point over and over and over. Politics is not about just process. It's about result. It's not about intent. It's about result, tangible, applicable results. Dr. Pearson is asking, and you see these kind of questions, they're unfair because, and Dr. Pearson knows what he's doing. He's a very intelligent guy. They're trying to push this Western liberal democracy, and since they really cannot debate it because the outcome and the results are so bad, and they can't defend it, they want to force this stuff that unless you have a complete or replacement from A to B with every R dotted, then that's the only way. Then that's the only way you can listen to. And Sekou just counter that. No, if I am in a house and their house is burning, and I'm afraid of dogs and the dog outside, and there is dog barking, should I say because I'm in this house and I'm afraid of dog, I hear the dog barking, but I see the fire? You know what I see? There's fire in this house and it's going to burn me. You know what I would do? Jump outside first. Maybe that dog that is barking is not close there. Maybe I can face that dog and fight that dog. Maybe I can find a stick and pick it up. So the idea that we should just stay in there and not try to even look at it unless we say this is the full replacement. And this is the mindset that we have that keeping democracy just like it's a religion. It was given to us and we are told to not even question it, that we should just go with it if it is not working, and then you turn around and blame us. If you look at how it was designed, Mr. McGill is pointing out about us getting aid and we're not. The democracy come with that. When you talk about the tenet of democracy, the Western liberal democracy is you turning over your resources. What? Opening your market. In Western democracy, capital supersede political government. This is the corruption in it. So when you're talking about that the people are corrupt, that you should ask them that will vote for you, will you do? No. Who is financing the election? That is where the corruption starts. At the point of campaign finance. Because people are making so we can't sit here but pointing something out. But let me just point out to what that no, you are muted, you are muted. Let me just say this so I can wrap up on here.
Yeah, I want you to wrap up with this.
Yeah,
you said this is not working. Instead of saying let's find a possible replacement before we get out, we will continue to waste our time. We should just jump out.
Yeah, no, we should say, look at what happened, Sonny. If you have a problem, if you can't even acknowledge that you have a problem, then you lack the ability for you to think, to be able to look for options and solutions. This is the problem that we're having. When we point it out that we have a problem, even though we see the result, everybody wants to say no, but they don't want to acknowledge that this particular stuff is not working. Because if we can all acknowledge that it's not working, then now the question comes about, look, this is not working. What can we do? But look, to just wrap up, I pointed out something here.
And so this is why you are saying, right? It's like a librarian saying, well, basketball is not our game. Even though there are black people in America who are doing well with basketball, but we the black people in Liberia, basketball is not our game. We play football, the soccer. So let's forget about the basketball team. It will never work for us, even though other black people are doing well with it. That's what I'm hearing from you.
No. The analogy is different.
Okay.
Actually, no, it's different. It's different because we have a system that is given to us. Nobody have to tell us. We see that it's not working, and the reason is because it is porous. It is easily manipulated from outside because of the capital that is involved. Capital decide outcome. In electoral politics itself is a fraudulent system. We are here and we see it. But I'm saying the reason that it cannot work, it's not even working for them here. But I'm saying when we point it out and we say, okay, you know what, this is not working, then the discussion start among us. Even if that is what we have to do for now. Then we start saying, okay, you know what? And
But Mr. Tao, another point you're making there is that, well, they gave it to us, so now they're influencing it. They're trying to tell, oh, this is how you do, trying to control it. So if you have accepted it, why you say, no, I got this?
No, you didn't accept it.
I don't need you.
No, you didn't accept it. That this is some of the stuff baseline we should establish. It was imposed and it's been back and kept in place by bearer of the gun.
I beg to disagree, because if a country decide that we're not going to practice their model of governance, they can end it. The reason why we continue to use it.
No, it's not that simple. Okay,
I can agree that it was imposed.
I
can agree that it was imposed. I'm not sure it's still being imposed on you.
It is
happening because you accepted it. So
it is still being imposed. And let me because Anthony, all the examples there. What happened when Traore then took over their country and they decided? Oh, somebody need to. What happened when Traore then took over the AS and they decided that they're not going to go with that model? America came out with gun blazing immediately, trying to overthrow him at all costs. What happened with Nkrumah then when they decided that they were not going to go along with that model? They were removed. So it's enforced. What happened when a government decided that, you know what, we're not going to follow this because you see with this come capitalism that because capitalism is part of they're all packaged, turnover. When they say you're not practicing democracy, it means you're not opening, you're not turning over your resources, you're not doing all this stuff. And when you say no, they're ready to come in for them to destabilize you. Okay. But let me just close on this. And I just gave a proposal here that, look, this is not working. And I went to the GADA, G-A-D-A, the GADA system that the African practice, which is the 8-year system, and how they structure it, where everybody register, Dr. Pearson want to say the chiefs and they come, no. You see, because we don't understand our own culture, we keep limiting it, just demeaning it like that. No, it was a general consensus of the public voting, the whole nation voted, but they group people into age groups, and they cultivate them through the system and they arrive at a certain level. When one batch of people rule, after the 8 years, they remove, and the next group of people voted within that age group, within that block, they voted and they come in. And I said this now. Sekou said it here that now we look at that this worked. So what can we do? How can we study these systems to then bring it to this modern era to function it so it can fit?
Mr. Tao, thank you. You make your point there. I will hold you there. Whatever system you have, just as Democrats say, some having 4 years, 6 years, 5 years, as in the case of Nigeria, either one can be manipulated. So even if we adopt in 8 years, kind of model that, okay, they group for 8 years, and after that they will not even contest, and another group will come. Those people that are leaving, they can stay infiltrate. It's even happening in democracy today.
Yeah, but it's different. No, it's different. There is no capital in this one. There is no campaign funding. There is no outsider funding. Anything. We're not talking about perfection. We're talking about something that exists that is actually contained locally.
All right.
It cannot be influenced. But once capital is out of the way, it takes away the motivation.
All right. Let me come to you, Dr. Pearson. And I think Mr. Tao tried to call your attention, and he has serious disagreement with your thoughts there.
No, I don't think Mr. Tao has any disagreement with my thoughts. I think Mr. Tao does not have the capacity or the information to provide the divergence between what Western liberal democracy is. Are you guys getting me?
Yes, you are clear. Go ahead.
I think he has not been able to properly articulate what the divergence between Western liberal democracy and that of the African form of governance that he wants to see happen. He's talking about the Gada. But he has not been able to say expressly how the Gada is different from, in practice, from that of the Western liberal democracy, because in his view, he is still talking about democratic tenets, right? He may not be talking about elections, but he's still talking about consensus. He's still talking about people having the choice to decide who will govern them through maybe an elite group of autocrats, who will be an elite group of individuals who call that shots. He's talking about caste system where you put people in category and you say, okay, this age group can govern this age group, this kind of category of people. He's talking about it cannot be influenced. Let me land, right? You say it cannot be influenced, but he forgetting to understand that even in our tribal days, the men with the largest farm are more say in the town's politics. The men with the highest cattle, all right, had a more say, because you may argue with me here and saying that, oh, it does not count that if I give a promise my girl in that system he's talking about, that, oh, the chiefs will soon be deciding who's going to be, the next group to come and lead, and I gave 2 or 3 cattle if it will not happen. You have not done that status to find that out. You have not lived that. You make it sound as though that system cut across the entire Africa, and it was a common practice before the appearance of colonization. No, it was not a common practice across Africa. Now, we need to understand how Africa governance structure developed over time. Africans, as we know them to be, at least what I know with West Africa, when this old man married 4 or 5 women, he had a bunch of children, he settled in a little town, in a little geographic space, and learned how to make farm instead of being a nomad, but learn how to make farm and raise his cattle. He built a little house. The house turned to 2 huts. From there, he became a little patriarch in our family. From being a patriarch, the next thing you know, if a new people come and join, he becomes the chief of that place. And once he's living, he's the chief. The day he dies, his children become the chief after him. It does not change, right? When we move over to empires, right? What you call it? You talk about the Ashanti Empire, the Benin Empire, other empires. When those empires came in, it was total authoritarianism, right? The king decide how many women he can take. He can take Tao away from him. Tao has no say. He can take Tao's daughter. Tao have no say. He overtax Tao. Tao work for him, and Tao be his army to go fight wars. And so, like you said, and I want to come back to what you said, Anthony. Any system can be abused, but I like what Sekou projected. Democracy, as we are discussing it, what form of democracy comes in, and particularly in this conversation that people are contentious about, Western liberal democracy is a vehicle, Anthony. It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle of governance. That vehicle of governance, my brother Sekou is arguing, what are the outcomes? Magill also asks, what are the impacts, the results? Now, when you want to see the outcome and the impact of a process, you don't blame the process alone. You blame the one who execute the process. Plays a major role. I gave an example just for us to understand the comedy. In our villages, the tree is filled with a cutlass. No matter how sharp that cutlass is, if the one who bearing it is not skilled and he is dull, he may not fell the tree the proper way. People may get hurt. The same thing with a vehicle. You can buy a very nice vehicle you're parking in your driveway. If you cannot drive, Anthony, that vehicle taking you nowhere. So I want someone to argue with me like other scholars would do sometimes when we're having conversations. They say, the thing I don't like about Western democracy is the idea that has to do with culture, and the way they push the culture on us, the culture dynamics, right? So, and I'm saying, yes, I don't like some things about the Western liberal democracy when it comes to the culture, like homosexuality, lesbianism, and other forms, half naked people, other kind of thing. That even though Dennis is part of our culture, but there are certain things that they practice culturally that does not fit us. Yeah, we can take that out of the place. We can get rid of that. We can decide what we want. Ghana just passed a law, right, banning homosexuality. Other African countries pass a law banning homosexuality. So it depends on who drives the vehicle. And Tao, take your time. Tell me if the vehicle is wrong. What on the vehicle is wrong? But if it is your drivers, your politicians in Africa that is unable to drive this vehicle, then I have problem. Then the vehicle does not have problem. Let us focus on the drivers. That's what the argument should go to.
The vehicle is contaminated.
Okay.
So anyone that comes from out of the vehicle contaminates everybody else. So
thank you. Let me bring in Sekou, then I'll go to Jimmy. Sekou, I saw you shaking your head, and it seems to be you had a disagreement with the way that Pearson was characterizing the African, proposed model. So,
right,
your disagreement.
So I think Thank you again to Dr. Pierce. I think some of the mistakes that people make when they try to do comparative analysis or compare the African system of governance with Western democracy, they make a mistake with the chronology. So they take ancient African system and compare it with modern European Western democracy that have gone through a lot of process of change. So what you have to do is to go to Greek system of democracy. So when democracy began in the Hellenistic society in Greece, it wasn't like it is now today. It was quite different. In fact, citizenship was limited to the elite. It was very brutal. So the democracy that you have today is being refined. It went through the Western America, especially changed it after their civil war. They decided to create this system you have, and it's a system that take the civil right. An entire population was excluded in America. They couldn't sit on a bus. They couldn't eat in a restaurant. It was a democracy. So Black people have to fight to improve to have what you are calling a democracy today in America. But the picture that
women couldn't even vote, Sekou. Women couldn't even vote.
Women couldn't even vote. So the democracy that the European conceptualized was to exclude certain class of people. It was supposed to exclude certain people. Okay? It was meant for powerful people. And that's what they did in their society. And when they gave it to us, it was superimposed. It's not that our society went through a natural development and then there was a revolution where our people overthrew our kings and decided to impose democracy. That's not what happened. We didn't have a natural evolution to democracy. It's just like the situation with the religion that I tell people. There's nothing wrong with Christianity. There's nothing wrong with Islam. But the fact that they were superimposed on our culture, there's something wrong with them. Because the historical context in which we adopted them make them to be faulty. So this is what we are saying. The way that democracy came, it was not a natural evolution of our society. It was superimposed by external interests. So what happened is we have elite who are sellout, who do not carry the interest of the people. Every elite you see on the food chain in Africa was coded deliberately through external interest. That's why we say the democracy that we have in Africa has been sabotaged. The institutions are sabotaged. That's why we don't have autonomy. I will give you one quick example, the IMF and the World Bank. If you get elected in Africa and you are not in the good book of the West, you withhold the loan. The IMF and the World Bank make sure they strangle your economy. Is something wrong with my volume?
No, somebody else.
Okay. Once you do not play what the Western people want, they make sure that your government fails. So every African head of state have to play to the game to be able to please them. And the institution, IMF, World Bank, they have policies that are meant to keep us less industrialized, because we shouldn't be industrialized so we cannot compete with Western Europe. The capitalist system, we are not against competition. We are not against free market. We are saying that these things were brought in a way to sabotage our system because we came out of colonialism and slavery, not properly ready to compete, and they came with their capital and began to sabotage our system. Let's take land, for example, in Liberia. Now, foreigners, when we say our ancestral system, you don't sell land to foreign people. The land belongs to the people or the state or the ancestors. When you come, we can loan you can loan the land to make your farm, but you can't own it. The European came with the idea, said, no, you need a free market and sell the land. What happened? He can buy your land and then own your land. You become a foreigner in your own country, like they have in South Africa, where 1% of the population control 90% of the land and impoverish the black majority. And now the foreigner can buy land in Liberia. Maybe if they continue in 50 years, Liberians become foreigners in their own land because the land is owned by foreigners who have the capital. This system is faulty. This is what we are saying.
Thank you. Jimin, where do you stand On this subject of democracy, whether it's working for us, whether it should be changed and with what, where do you stand?
Okay, I appreciate the question. You know, a few years ago, I could go many years, 10, 15 years ago, we had a manager's retreat, and we tried to figure out what was wrong with corporate America. And we found out, we boiled it down to discipline. And we found out that execution is key. To if you can have a good system, but if you do not know how to execute it, you will not get the same results. So, to first of all, to identify what we want, what the problems in our system, I think we need to first explain the difference between what is a republic and what is a democracy. A republic is a state is run by the people, for the people, of the people. That is a republic. Now, how you would do that, that is what democracy tries to define. How will you get the people to run the government, to run their state? That is democracy. Now, we see some issues in our democracy. I think I heard the brother Tao pointing out several. So the first thing we need to do before fixing a problem, we need to clearly identify what is wrong. Okay? And after we identify, we want to know what outcomes of this system are unacceptable to us. What symptoms, like Tao mentioned, are visible, and who is affected. And then after you go from there, you gather data. Okay, you collect evidence and measure performance, interview people, and then you start identifying the root causes. One of the root causes that I've been able to observe in my study is that once we elect an official, a representative, a senator, a president, he or she is no longer accountable to us. They take the power we bestowed in them by virtue of their election, and they make decisions not in our interest, but in their interest. So we find that when it comes to the
Jimmy, are you saying that's how the system, democracy, has been designed, that when they are elected, they have the free will to make decisions in their own interests?
That is what is going on.
Okay.
That is why we're having problems with it. If they were consulting for SASTAL, if they went back to the people of SASTAL and say, look, they say we must sign this MOU to let these people from Mbombi to take our IO. We don't measure how much they take. We don't find out. There's no way of checking what they're taking, and they will get us so and so money. The people at SASTAL said, no, that's not agreement. Go to the agreement you're signing. You got to change that agreement. Okay.
So Jimmy, I'm enjoying what you're doing there. So you are saying that should be the solution.
Yes.
You are also extending it to say, well, before the president affixes his signature to any resolution, any bill, he should go to the people and ask them, hey, I have this on my desk sent to me by the people's representatives. This is explicitly what it says. Should I sign it? Do you agree with it? Before the president can, sign it? Is that what I'm hearing from you, Jimmy?
That is how it should be. We did a study about this sort of democracy working, and if you go down to Botswana,
Namibia,
that is how they perform. If you don't have this accountability to the people, then that's when we will see the easily, like Joe Tower was saying, the easily corruptible. They're waiting for brown envelope. If you have to go and ask me before you make that vote, that brown envelope will not do you no good, because you will not be able to vote the way you want. You will have to vote the way the people want you to vote. And so one of the ways of restraining them, we have to put these people, we have to let these people, you are just representative. You are not a big shot. You are not elevated amongst us. We only have you representing us. And in doing so, you have to abide by our joint conclusion or whatever we want to do. Now, when they go there, they all of a sudden, they think they're powerful. Why are the people? Are they more powerful than the people? They should never be more powerful than the people. That is one issue we have.
Are you saying that the democracy we have is loose? There are no guardrails to decisions being made on behalf of the people by the elected officials?
Exactly so. That is one of the main issue with it. If they had to always abide by what the people need, we won't see a lot of this. For instance, we talk about these people getting $45,000 cars every 3 years.
Wouldn't that go against representative democracy? Where you
Why?
are
Why so?
Go in the house and represent us. We know you have our best, interest at heart. So when a bill comes before you, you will be able to think about us and make a decision in our interest. Isn't what it is?
We can't leave it just simply up to them. They need to come for consultation. And then
on every decision, you mean?
Huh?
On every decision you are proposing?
On let's say significant decisions that are going to affect the livelihood of millions of people. You have to come and consult us, because you need guidance. If you leave them by themselves, they are corruptible. Somebody will bribe them. Somebody who wants to take all our diamonds, they will give them one envelope with maybe $25,000 or $50,000 and steal 100 million from us.
All right. Thank you.
Can I just interject for 30 seconds?
All right, I give you 45 seconds. Interject.
Yeah, maybe I'm just on a different. Maybe my mind is at a different place. But when I see this conversation, in my mind, the argument here is that Western liberal democracy is not working for Africa at all. It's a bad thing for Africa. It should be kicked out of Africa. But I'm still hearing democratic tenets being discussed that will not be actually left out of Africa, even if Africa decided to say we want Western liberal democracy as they describe it or as they cap it. What I'm hearing from Jimmy is not more of democracy as a problem as it is the operators of democracy, the people who operate within the democracy who are the problem. And it's the same thing I'm getting from Sekou. So you are. It is not that the vehicle has a problem, but the operators of the vehicle has. And I will keep using this analogy because to land, I will say this, right, Jimmy. Everything that should everything that should ensure.
You are also suggesting that no vehicle may have a problem at all.
No, don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
We have said this over and over.
Not falsify his theory.
No. We've said this over and over, and you can go look at my tip from yesterday, debate and whatever. No system is perfect. Okay. No system is perfect. That's why.
But in this case, I will allow you. In this case, you are saying that liberal Western style democracy, it is not that democracy has more problem. It's the fact that the operator or the problems with it are more with the people than the vehicle itself.
That's what I'm saying. These very leaders we have today who cannot conform to the tenets of democracy, which means rule of law, the court system, I should put it that way. Like Jimmy said, we elect you on a social commitment and promise. You get there and you turn your back against it. That's behavioral. That's accountability.
So how will you curtail that?
Problem.
So how will you curtail that?
So look. That's why your democracy is self-correct. You gave the person tenure. I have confidence. I have confidence in Jimmy. I gave Jimmy 4 years to run the country. If I'm not pleased with how Jimmy performed for the 4 years, I go to the polls. Like Miguel said, I don't have to pick up arms. I don't have to pick up car license. I don't have to do a wage of war. I go to the polls and I elect the man out of there and put in another group of people. Now, the opposite of that.
There's a problem with that because it's like paying your child school fee for the year and you turn your back. You're not even helping with homework. And that is a problem.
This is what I would tell Jimmy. Jimmy, there are successful nations around us that are exercising the same liberal Western democracy and are highly successful with outcomes and results. Ghana,
I gave you Botswana for one. I'm not saying it doesn't. It cannot be successful. I never said that. I'm trying to tell you how we can fix our own. I'm going to specific. I'm not being theoretical.
I agree. I
have an engineering mentality.
Yeah, I agree.
So we got to do something. I figure out how we're going to do it, not theoretically speaking.
Jimmy, I agree with you on I agree this much. When you speak as a Liberian problem, then that's a different whole ballgame because across the continent of Africa, there are different style of democracy being practiced. And Tao is supposed to know that. Different style of democracy being practiced. Even the proponent of Pan-Africanism, those Pan-African activists, they also have their own style of democracy that they want to see implemented. And there are others who have adapted new styles and they are successful. My brother Segu saying, oh, democracy started way back from Anton and evolved. We have had almost 76 years since we started being independent. We've had 76 years to make this thing work and adapt it for the better. What is stopping us? Somebody say, oh, they're shooting our brothers when they want to do the right thing. But at the same time, we're voting people into power repeatedly, even they are doing the wrong thing.
Thank you.
What are we talking about?
So thank you. You went above
1 minute. Just give me 1 minute, Anthony. I beg you. Listen, when the whole idea is we're out of town. We're out of time. We've been playing around with this long enough. We don't have 4 years to give you before we make up our mind that we need to move you. If we put you there and within a year, you are not following the policies, the promises that you made to us, we need a mechanism to move you right away. If the people had that kind of power, these representatives would not be unruly and doing whatever they want to do in that building there. But because the people don't have that active power to move you, to sack you the next day, that is why they're taking advantage of us. So we have to bring the power back to the people, before it happens. I want to tell you one more thing before I land. If you study communism, the way China did their own, everybody was equal, even though you had people in the what they call the Central Party, okay, who had the power, but nobody was rich, nobody was accumulating a lot of wealth. I used to see them when they go around, the chauffeur, the ambassador, all of them on the same level, right? The same clothes. Nobody wearing $1,000 suit and the other man wearing khaki trousers. Everybody was dressed the same because they wanted to establish that we are representing the people. We are one of them, and there's no elitism amongst us. Now that is a difficult task to accomplish. But what it did do, it got the people believing in the system that everybody was equal. Right now, we don't see that in Liberia. We don't see the common people equal to the people who get elected. And this is what we need to break down, that this big shot business, this highfalutin democracy that we're practicing needs to cut down. That's what happened to 13 people on the poll.
Jimmy, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Miguel, let me come to you. I saw you in agreement with Jimmy when he was speaking. All right. He made a solid recommendation. Oh, Mr. Miguel, what's going on?
They sent the other way. Turn it back.
All right. I have to go to someone else, I believe.
Sekou wanted to say something.
Yeah. Sekou,
Yes.
You can come in.
Yes. So I think we've touched a lot of areas in this discussion, but I would like to go back to the driver analogy that I gave initially. And what Dr. Pearson said, maybe something's wrong with the driver. Maybe the vehicle is okay, which is the democracy itself, the idea, the system is okay. But the people who are running it are the ones who are not running it properly. Then the question that follow is, are you saying that we are naturally incompetent as Black people? Is it our nature that makes us not to be able to govern? Because all of our states are almost failed states. Are you saying that it's something have to do with our nature? So that I would disagree with that. I think every human being on earth have the same intellectual capacity. It is based on how the culture of that particular area and how it works is what determines your success or failure. So I can say maybe we put a pilot in a vehicle, and it's not a driver actually, it's a pilot. That's why there's a problem. What that means is that the African man's value system, we didn't consider it. We didn't consider our cultural background. How did our ancestors govern empires? We govern empires. Let's start with West Africa. We have Ouagadougou Empire. Even before Islam came, the Ouagadougou Empire was very successful. It governed most of West Africa. You have the Benin Empire. You have even ancient Egypt. If you go to the classical period in Sudan, where the Pharaoh governed for 3,000 years with a governance system that was one of the most successful in Northeast Africa. So we didn't look at our traditional institution, which every intelligent people do, to be able, we can learn from other people, but we can take ideas from our traditional institution, because even the word tradition make us to think that it's archaic, therefore it's unuseful. No, every idea that you see today has its root in the ancient time. You can bring it forward and change it to be able to answer to the question of the modern time. That being said, the African man, our culture is usually collectivist culture. We are not individualistic. Our society are not individualistic. We make decisions based on collective interest. But what the Western liberal democracy has done is to introduce individualism. And it brought this individualism where we all want to be rich at the detriment of our society and our people. This is the mentality of the average African elite. When you see him talking, he's talking for his pocket, his interest, how he will be rich. But what happened to his people? That value system is what we lost. Otherwise, the system of governance, we can agree that no system of governance is absolutely bad or absolutely good. China did not practice Western style democracy. It's the second largest economy in the world. They have not practiced your Western style democracy. So it has to do with the value system. You can take communism and put it in Liberia today. If it works with your value system and the people hold it well, you can become a superpower. So the myth that democracy leads to development is a myth. That's why we have to deconstruct. It's a myth that democracy will bring stability. That's a myth. We fought civil wars after from the 1990s. Most African countries fought civil war after they went into multi-party democracy. So democracy is not a yardstick for stability. It is not. Okay, the Islamic jihadis have taken over all of the Sahel country. There was democracy there when they took over. Those military guys only came to rescue, but it was a so-called democratic leader who were there that colluded with these terrorists to take over those countries. So we are saying that the democratic institutions are so weak, they are sabotaged by imperialists and external interests. So we are saying, if we want Africa to survive, we need to go with the ideology that I would call sovereignty ideology. How do we become a sovereign country or sovereign continent? That's the first thing the Black man needs right now. Democracy is an afterthought. It is not a vehicle of development. That's my submission.
Thank you. And let me come to you, Mr. Miguel. So military regimes in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, right, have also failed to deliver security and development, arguably, after removing elected governments. If democratic track record in Africa is poor, and military rules track record is equally poor, what does the honest alternative look like to you?
The honest alternative is to you yourself in terms of your value, your moral, your integrity, your accountability and transparency, and changing lives for people. It comes to you as a human being knowing that, okay, this is right. What's good for you is good for Paul, it's good for John. It's about that inclusiveness of everybody in the pot. And I know to my best understanding in my layman term, it's in the Western democracy that can say you my kid detecting people on the poor. Why are we shifting blames back to back? We need to be very, very liberal and also and strike a balance. The systems are already there. The power of the people is already there. But do the people know how much power they have or they have to undo the things they have done to put people in charge? It doesn't mean to say because I'm on the plantation, the overseer is the one who counts the money of bucket or how many liters I bring to the tank. If he's not capable of doing the work, I should make sure and come up with union. Why do we go to union? We have union and union and institution. It's about institutions, it's about accountability, it's about implementation, as Jimmy Reckless said. If you can implement the process, you get out. I've heard a lot of serious person in Liberia, for example. All the paper is trying. It's not about trying. It's about changing and make it work. Why the indicator? Why the yardstick?
So, Mr. McKay, in essence, you are saying, it may not necessarily matter what kind of model you're using. It can be
definitely, of course, yes. Even in the church.
Hold on, Mr. McKay. Let me question. It doesn't matter much about the model you're using, right? Or the governance structure you're using. It is more about the people, all right? Knowing what is right to be done by the people and for the people and for their country, and just doing that exactly as it should be done.
Yes. Yes.
And so that means any system can be used for any society to be successful. That is your argument.
Of course. Jerry came and he said the people are so corrupt, and he put them on the poll. Things changed and they were being strong. They were being insightful about it. And they said, this is what we want to see that change. Before that time, it was hard. Okay, if you say the people in Burkina Faso is so good, development is so good, all the different things online, why are there Burkina bees in all the forests and all the farms in Liberia?
So in essence, Mr. Maggie, you are also saying, well, those who have problem with the liberal Western style democracy, that's been practiced in Africa, it is the African who are not using it in a way that it will benefit them. It's not what being handled to them. I think Sekou is saying that this is imposed on all Mochinche.
Of course, see in America, it's a 100% okay. No, I'm in West Virginia. Look at what happened to the poor West Virginia people who went vote and did what they did. At the end of the day, they don't want being scrapped off. Are they angry or not? Is it good? It's about the system, the people who in charge, who gave our power to, and who give them our power to implement, and they squid.
So your final argument here is that let's forget about this whole which system we use or not. Let's focus on the people who are in charge of the system to make it work. It's not necessarily the system.
Of course.
Yeah. Let me add to something, well, Mr. With 5 seconds. There's something, we use this word very loosely, institutionalize. When you institutionalize something, a policy, a procedure, or whatever you want to practice, when you institution, mean everybody must follow it. Everybody. That's why it's institution. When they learn it from school, they learn it when they go in life. It's part of what we do. It's institutionalized. But we are not, our practices are not institutionalized. We do it one way, this way. The other man corrupt it, do it another way on the other side. And so it's not institutionalized. Okay? For instance, let's look at the drug bust the other day. There's all kinds of statements. Why is it all up in the air like this? Have we, because is the drug enforcement, is it institutionalized? If it was, then there's supposed to be a straightforward way of going about doing it, and it could be applied in each and every case. But we don't follow that. We have
and that is a fine point that about institutionalizing it. Every institution is meant to be institutionalized. But then the drivers, the actors in there are the problem. In the case that Jimmy cited, the institution came out and said, well, we have 6 personal interests. In fact, we have arrested them. We have them in our custody. Well, tell us their names, just as you have been doing in the past. You name everyone you arrested in possession of even marijuana, including our own star, Bucket Ray. The man just have 40 balls marijuana. You threw the man in a pickup. You got a mug shot. So why are you making exceptions and giving justification why you cannot do it this more? So the institutionalization there is failing because the actor are making unnecessary exceptions, right? So I come to you, Tao. This model that you're proposing, because the thing is about human. That's the argument Maggie is making. It is about us. We are the problem, not necessarily the model you're using. Because these models, as imperfect as they may be, they have made other societies successful. All right? They have been able to refine it, as Sekou said it. You know, democracy, when it started, you know, it is not what they have today. Women couldn't vote. It was reserved for the elite. And then they said, no, everyone is equal. So let's give everyone the right to participate, and everybody participating. Well, the capitalists are trying to control it with resources, and yet other people are fighting. But progress is being made. So, Tao, I don't think there's any perfect model in itself if the people, you know, who control it don't make it perfect. Do you agree or disagree?
I vehemently disagree. In the first place, the falsification of the African consciousness is a major problem for us. Look at how we are all over the place. The inability for us to actually narrowly identify the root cause of our problem. In the first place, Jimmy, you're an engineer or you're a technical person. If you say this is a measuring stick, it's a standardized ruler measuring stick, and you say this is what we're going to use, don't tell me that it is not perfect. That, yeah, it's a measuring stick. No. If you're going to use this as a model, it has to be perfect. So, no, it's not. So we should not try to say that Western democracy, that is the only thing they want to push us into. But then when we start pointing it out, then we want to hear the word that it's not perfect. No. If you're using that as a standard of measure, it has to be perfect.
Yes. No, but human being not perfect. Remember, part of every system is human being. Human being not perfect.
Let's give Tao a chance. Hold on,
Jimmy, hold on. No, we should establish that. Okay, the other one here is that Dr. Pearson, because I want for me to point some stuff up before I come to this stuff here, Dr. Pearson is saying that it is the vehicle. I mean, it is the people, not the vehicle. Come on now. The Western liberal model of democracy, they built the vehicle. They train the people that got in that are supposed to get in that vehicle. If you're not trained and approved by them to get in that vehicle, you are not allowed. You are restricted. And if by any means you enter in that vehicle, for you to try to reprogram that vehicle to drive it, just like Sekou said, they come against you in the name of sanction, in the name of threat, in the name of everything else. We see it. So look, we are talking about America, and we shouldn't misconstrue what Sekou said. Sekou pointed something out, that the democracy that they have to this level started in Greece and they modified to this level. But the democracy itself is useless in America. Nobody can participate in democracy just by mere law. If your participation inclusion have to be by the way of law, the law can be repealed. So it means it's temporary. So what are we seeing here? You see the gerrymandering are going on, and they're not removing voting right, and they're threatening it. It is in the same democracy. So the stuff is fraudulent. We are seeing it right here. It's within their own culture. But look, let's go back to Africa. Sekou made a point. You have to look within your own, our inability or our lack of knowledge to go back and learn about ourselves. Should not be an excuse. If we are coming on this platform, we have to have enough historical ability and knowledge for us to history. Everybody else go back to the history we met. When you touch the European, you go back to Greece. You speak to the Chinese, go back to the Han Dynasty. That is where they draw from. The recent history is important. In history, you see everything we're facing here, our ancestors faced it before. There in your history lies the prescription on how to engage this same thing and then overcome it. If you speak to the typical African, he don't know anything about himself, and when you try to point in that direction, they start getting upset with you.
Mr. Tao, here's my follow-up with you, right?
Yes.
I mean, I like your argument that look, we are a unique set of people. We have our history. We have our foundational lifestyle, if I can put it that way. Why is it that we can't go find ourselves and we are using something that is working for other people? And my question to you is that must it always be about what you are before you can survive?
Yes, because your look at what happened here. Your history tell you who you were.
Mm-hmm.
So once you look back and you see who you were, it lets you then see why are you in this present situation. You can assess it better. Then once you understand
the shirt you're wearing,
the
shirt you're wearing is not your traditional clothes. How is it harming you?
No.
Oh, no, come on. You are talking about show. We're talking about ideological position and understanding.
And that is ideological.
Yeah,
clothing is
ideological.
This is your identity.
Yeah, our
it comes from the culture.
Listen now,
I know it's material, but it's representative of something.
Look at what happened here.
I know
I'm wearing this shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But I do my best for me to be African centered. And somebody in the representative and senator, they wear the country gown with the hat all the time, and they have no instinct.
Symbolism doesn't matter anymore in the application of knowledge.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it has no bearing in the discussion that we're having. So let us not distract that, please. Let me finish my point. Mm-hmm. If you look and like the Chinese, mm-hmm. you know what they did? They rejected the Western democracy. And they rejected capitalism because they saw that democracy and capitalism come together as individualistic. Their society structure, family is very similar to that of Africa. So what they adopted was a market economy. In a market economy, political power.
That's the same thing. Capitalism and market economy is the same thing.
Huh?
What they had communism first before they adopted the market economy.
Yeah,
but market economy and capitalism are the same thing.
Yeah, but look at what happened. And I know it's really not the same. In capitalism, the state pretty much control everything. When they introduce market economy, political power is above capital. Capital is subordinate. So the government pretty much decide the policies, and the government provides services that are very essential to make sure the people benefit. If you listen to one of the stuff the West complain about their high-speed rail that is bleeding profit and all this stuff, they're not doing it for profit. They're supposed to provide service to move the population. If it is in the West, the government take the funding, fund the project, build everything, then what? Give it to one of the people as privatization so that capital is above. Capital decided laws and everything else. They saw that they rejected it. You know that Africa have similar system. Even in Liberia, on a top of them. Why you think they came in and then right now they want to privatize this and privatize that? So they want to take everything from the state, and these are all tenets of democracy. These are all part of the tenets. Because when you adopt the Western model, these are the things that you must do. Okay, let me just end with this. You're talking about countries doing well. No country doing well using the Western style democracy. You don't mention Ghana, you see, unless you're not even looking at Ghana, a country that gone bankrupt twice, where they almost defaulted on loan. And they had to go back to the eye and say that they're succeeding, that they're working. No, it's not working. Everything that they're doing over there is temporary because they are deeply in debt, crediting all over the place. It's not working. Don't mention Burkina Faso. You know the split between Senegal and they're having democracy and they voted. What is the split? The IMF came in and trying to have them for them to through the democracy for them to try to value the currency and cost
structural adjustment.
Structural adjustment. Songo said no. He said, look, on make it so. Look, the country signed all these agreements, these concessions, and our oil and stuff is in their hand. Let the state come in, re-look at everything so that we can take share in these things, use that money from there so we can pay back the loan. Instead, the IMF went ahead and forcing this young man that is in now that no, they can't do that. So that is where the fallout came from. So Songo said, no, I'm not going to agree with that. But this, all of this that you're naming about corruption, all this stuff, these are the end results of the corrupt Western model that we are talking about. By the time you start talking about somebody doing this corruption, the model started here already. Those are just the outcomes of that. We have
so the question I asked, and I want you to end here quickly to bring Siku and Dr. Pearson in. This African model that you are advocating for, is it not prone to corruption? It's not prone to manipulation? Is it not prone to infiltration, just like any other system?
Okay, so look at the difference. When you talk about any model, if you live in your house, right? You the father in that house and the male of the house, you are not always going to be right. You may not always be fair in your judgment on some stuff. But the limit to how it happened, because those are your children, and you destabilizing your own house and making your children go hungry will hurt you in a way. So there is a minimum, and it's happening in the house. You're able to make adjustment easily because you see the result of some of your decisions. That is the African model. The Western liberal model, they sit from outside. They don't give a damn about you. They don't care. They push and implement these policies, and they don't care who it affects.
And Tao, you are speaking as though this is all happening in isolation of your own people. Who are your
people
leaders?
Are recruits. Your people are recruits. Look, the system. Look at how the Western model is. If you question it, you are not elevated and you are not rewarded. You are demoted. Right. You are relegated. You are made to be guys like that. Your Pearson, you see the way he's going. They will take positions because they are auditioning. They're advertising themselves.
Thank you, Chao. Let me leave it there. Dr. Pearson, let me come to you. Right? Your central argument here is that look, yeah, we can talk about the balances, things that need to be corrected, the imperfection about this Western style liberal democracy. We can talk about all that. But they are arguing that, look, it is their cultural style of governance that they are imposing on us. What is wrong with us using ours? So my question to you is, why are you afraid? Maybe I'm not using the right word. What is wrong with just dishing out this Western liberal thing so that we can use the African thing? Because why don't you use what that is of you and using what is for other person? That'll be asking, what's your fear about that?
Is the argument we're having right now. I would have thought, and I still out there. I would have thought that there was an alternative that we're going to be discussing, but I don't see any alternative. To be honest with you, I don't see an alternative. An alternative that clearly says that we don't want elections through out of the window. We say, okay, why not? And the good and the bad, right? We don't want court, and we don't want judiciary or three branches of government format, and okay, that threw it out of the window. We don't want we don't want capitalist, and capitalism in Africa. Then we threw it out the window because some guys, and what Tau is talking about, he just mentioned one of the areas that Pan-Africanists can push. He's talking about social democracy. Social democracy is where the government has more control over the resources of the country or the land space, and then they ensure
nearly all the basic social services.
Yeah, equitable distribution of wealth. So I see where you're going. Now, if you're talking about making those structural adjustments, those ideological adjustments, I don't have a problem. My problem is where you come and say, democracy is the problem. Throw democracy away. It's
Western liberal, not democratic. Western liberal.
Even if you say liberal democracy, what is liberal democracy in your understanding? When we say liberal democracy, for me, elections stand out. Number one. Number two, the freedom to practice what you want to wear, who you want your identity, self alignment with your own identity. I want to be gay, I want to be transgender, I want to be lesbian. I can decide for myself. I want to eat kobo or I want to eat spaghetti. I decide for myself. We Africans want much more structure and restrictive environment. And Sekou, that's not inclusivity. No. You're talking about empire and you see Africa had a kind of an inclusivity form of governance. No. The empire rule, when he make a decree, the decree stands. He seal something. If you see your death, my brother, there's no appeal court. If the emperor tell you today, that man's supposed to die, and he stamp your warrant for death, no appeal court. So what do you guys want to replace? If you talk me to the village right now, Chita Matera tell me, say, okay, sorry, please be on him. Chita Matera say, I put a man on the Bogaba Hill. Because the man must be carrying a Zobu put on the Bogaba Hill. There's no appeal court. No. What do you guys really want to see change? So I'm arguing, Anthony, and let me say this. Yes, we have some strict cultural values. Do we want to preserve them? Then go ahead, pass laws, preserve them. You talk, my brother talk about IMF and World Bank. Hell yeah, you don't want IMF and World Bank. Look, get rid of them. Going to the national.
Here's my follow up, and then I'll bring that my follow up, and I'll bring Leo in after welcoming him. Leo, welcome. How you doing? Thanks for joining in.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Welcome. Good to see everybody. Sorry I joined in late.
All right. So my simple question to you, Dr. Pearson, is your argument that of all the models that are out there, the modification people, Sekou talking a lot, the African model, let's go to it because we are in the advanced age now. So let's modify it. We are not in, traditional African society some 200 years ago anymore. So let modify it so that it can meet current day realities. Sekou, you're shaking your head. So please, if I'm not paraphrasing what you said.
No, that's right, because they are it's very anachronistic when you talk about modern democracy, then you go back to ancient African system and try to do the comparison. Why this one has undergone a lot of evolution, and then you pick the other one in its archaic state, and then you try to compare it. It's very disingenuous. You have to compare up. You don't compare apple and oranges.
Thank you.
The system of government of our ancient time, it was limited to the time limited to that time period. In the 21st century, if I want to bring my culture or do a renaissance, I will make sure that it fit into modern challenges, able to answer questions to the modern human problem, not the ancient man issues and problems.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Pearson, you have 30 seconds. And this is a simple question for you. Are you saying of all the models other people are advocating for, Western liberal democracy, as you classify it, is the best or better model for now? Is that your argument?
No, that's not my argument at all. So my argument here is simple that, listen.
No, that answered my question. No, that answered my question.
Let me tell you why I say that.
You may want to elaborate.
Right? my brother is saying, don't measure what you have now to something archaic. But if you're arguing for something to replace something, you must be able to say in definite terms what you want to replace it with. If you're seeing liberal Western democracy is not working for Africa, then tell me what is it that you want to extrapolate from there, or why is it you want to? What is the divergence? What is it you don't want from Western democracy, and how is it not working? And get rid of it. That's my there has to be a clear definition of what you want to replace it with. That's my argument.
Thank you. Let me bring in Leo. And Leo, thanks so much for coming. We want to hear your perspective on it because this is a very sensitive topic. We Africans, a lot of us complain about democracy. Well, this thing was imposed. Where do you stand, Leo? Are you for the Western liberal democracy as it is, or you want something modified, that represent who we are as Africans, so that it can work for us culturally? Where do you stand, Leo?
So I've been driving and listening because I didn't want to be driving and join. So it's been a fascinating debate and discussion of all your panelists. Good to see you and thank you for your views. Here's what I will say. I think there's a fundamental mischaracterization of things here. Colonialism have taught us in Africa that we should always replace. We've never understood the movement of evolution. So because of that, we are always looking for the next thing to replace. Let me put it this way. You cannot replace yourself. It's not possible. You can evolve as a person. You can learn new things. You can add new things to yourself. You can get rid of some things, and that you come to realize it's not great about you or whatever that is based on your emancipation and understanding of or acquisition of newer knowledge as you grow. But this whole attitude that we've been taught that we got to replace ourselves, that it's either this or it's either that, and we operate like we're machines. We're not machines. We're humans. There are certain archaic things that you still hold on to that works for you in a certain way, not because it makes sense to anybody else, but only because it makes sense to you. We all here, there will be certain people that will tell you, say they let their bare balance trousers. No matter all the evolution we're going through in different type of trousers, people are still wearing their bare balance. So let me put it this way. I will not argue that Western democracy has not worked in Africa. I think that's a false premise. I can pull up Botswana. I had the opportunity to visit actually and really study what they were doing, because when I heard it, I was like, let me get some understanding to actually see. What is different is that Western democracy in and of itself is not one particular thing. It's tenets that are interpreted in different places. And this is the mistake we've made of this whole copy and pasting in Liberia. We've been doing this since the 1800s. Rather than saying, okay, this is a good idea, how do we translate this to make sense? And in that translation, certain things may not make sense, period. So instead of evolving, we've gotten ourselves in these boxes. Take any African system by itself, it will not make sense in isolation. Take any Western democracy by itself, it will not make sense in isolation. Let me give you an example. We live in Canada. Sekou and myself, we're living right in Canada across the border. The democratic definition of what Canada describes as democracy is hugely different from what you have in the United States. Not even remotely close. Very different. But guess what? The United States respects Canada as a democracy, quote unquote. Canada is a constitutional monarchy. If you define it to the core, it's actually a constitutional monarchy. But that's how they've translated what democracy means in the Canadian context. So the sooner we can start to figure out who the heck we are, the ugly part, the good part, the terrible part, and make that evolution rather than trying to replace ourselves, we can jump. People keep acting like we can skip, we can get double promotion. We can't get double promotion because whenever we get double promotion, it will haunt us, who we really are that we never dealt with. Liberia is still in an archaic, primitive state. So I don't know why people keep trying to modernize us. In a country where they say they might change the law reading season, no election because the road will be bad. So they got no intention of ever building a road that people can travel the country during rainy season. This is a country that we are
mindset
over. This is a country that we are in today as we speak. None of our government operating facilities have any web enterprise system. Everybody running the government on Gmails and Yahoo Mails, right? They can't even operate email properly. They rather communicate with you on WhatsApp because they're not able to properly construct and operate a Gmail inbox. So, I mean, for me, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, say, oh, West, because all of these things got pros and cons. We need to define who the heck we are. Western democracy has a lot of benefits, nothing to argue about. Western democracy has a lot of downfalls, some of them that are in direct contrast and clash with our ecosystem. So rather than taking one thing and making it bad, that is not good, and one thing making it look good entirely, let us evolve. Who knows? We could develop a hybrid of what we have, just as Canada has done. The king in England can suspend the elected members of the Canadian Parliament, send all of them home whenever he's ready without seeking permission from anybody else. That's what it worked. Have you ever heard the U.S. call Canada a dictatorship or a monarchy? No, they call Canada a democracy. So I think the real conversation for me is not what thing we will photocopy again. Because even the freaking African thing we talk about ourselves, we don't even know. We lost track for this convoluted political system that we have in the country. Our cultural African system, we don't use it for marketing purposes. When big visitors come, we bring cultural men and Osa to come dance and talk about the cultural history of Liberia. By the time the BB people go back, where do we send the cultural people? To the background in the dungeon, like they do not matter. So what culture are we really talking about? The one we using for marketing, that we can only pull us out whenever we want market and promote when somebody come, or the one that we're running away from pretending to be what we're not. So my conversation for me, there are pros and cons to Western democracy. Some of those pros might work for us. Some of them might not work for us. There are also pros and cons to the African traditional systems. Some of them are still valid in countries like South Africa, in countries like Botswana, in countries like Rwanda, that they are still relying on to interpret and let it intersect with Western democracy. I think
and Ghana too, Leo, and you went there, you know that best.
Yeah, Ghana as well.
Thank you.
Ghana, outside of urban areas, the jurisdiction is actually with the local chiefs. Outside of major urban cities. The same thing in Liberia. When you leave Monrovia and all these urban places, my brother, to see one policeman is impossible. It's traditional and customary systems that are governing by default in many of these villages and towns. When the way that people solve problems and govern themselves is when one small thing happens one time before policemen show up at 3 hours before they can call the policemen to drive. There are still villages in Liberia that people can go to the farm, leave their doors open, wide open, go to the farm and come out, and now one thing gets stolen because the consequences in the traditional system for being caught for stealing is so severe that people know they're not supposed to do it. So again, in Liberia, we got a dual legal system. Let me close on this. People don't realize, I was reading a European research law review of the Liberia legal system. We have a customary law system and the Western, judicial system. What have we done? We ignore the customary system and did not evolve it for so long that it remained in its primitive state. So when you see people arguing about Sasewu has jurisdiction in our constitution because our constitution says we are a dual legal system. That's the reason why we got a Ministry of Internal Affairs that are calling local government now. The Minister of Internal Affairs or local government is the Chief Justice, the equivalent of the Chief Justice in customary law. So when you go to the clan chief, from the clan chief to the district superintendent, from the superintendent, you can keep appealing your case till it gets to the Minister of Local Government. The Minister of Local Government is the final arbiter under the customary system. But go to our law schools. Is anyone teaching that to anybody? No. We undermined it, so it's staying 100 years ago while we are now in 2026. So my argument has always been, you need to figure out who the heck you are before you start to say you are something to yourself. Because if you don't know who you are and you get adding things onto yourself, you are a confused identity. You don't know which one is to you and which one is not.
Thank you, Leo. So, gentlemen, what we're going to do now is what should be the alternative? Wherever you stand, however you stand on this issue, in this debate, what should be the alternative for us as the people, as a country, Liberia, as Africans? What should be the alternative? And we'll start with you, Sekou. What should be the alternative?
Yes, thank you for the question. First, I would like to say I agree with most of the things Leo said. I think this is some of my points there, but we all have a different way of conveying it. So the measurement for me, when I try to attack any problem, I look at it this way. The condition of our people, whatever system you've brought, has it improved the condition of our people? Have we taken people out of poverty? The measurement of development, according to the UN Millennium Development Goal, is education and health. The level of education and health, you can determine if this country is improving or not. So democracy or the election, the rituals of election we do every year, which for me I call it ethnic census, to see which tribe have more number than the others. That's what we do in Africa. To see which religious group people can vote for their brother. It has never been about competence. It has never been about character. It has never been about people who can do the job. So for me, I will propose, the alternative I propose is what the Senegalese scholar, Cheikh Anta Diop, proposed, the African Renaissance. When Africans got their independence, Cheikh Anta Diop said, it would be very wrong at the time, I think it was 1970s, they created ECOWAS at the time. And they call him and they say, what do you think? ECOWAS is a brilliant idea. We're bringing these countries together. He said, ECOWAS will be putting the cart before the horse. We are seeking political unification economic unification without political unification, without our cultural renaissance. We have not defined who we are as a people. We are having these colonial languages. There's a big difference between the elite and the people. When the president come on TV and speak, 90% of the country did not know what he said. When your lawmaker go in there and debate, the ordinary mama in the market doesn't know what they are talking about. So you are asking her to go and vote based on policy. What policy? She doesn't even know what you're talking about. So there is a disconnect between the African elite, the educated African man who is a westernized man, and the people. So the African Renaissance that Diop proposed was the rediscovery and expression of African creativity. We needed to go back and define our Africanity. We needed to create national languages. We needed to focus on education. And when we get educated people who are healthy, they will propose better ideas how we will govern ourselves. But right now, as we are, I think even if you bring any system of government, the African man consciousness is messed up. He does not even know how to govern himself or what value is all about, because they say what you do for yourself depends on what you know about yourself. And what you know about yourself depends on what you've been told about yourself. What have we been told? When we go to school, from elementary until we graduate, we read about Greeks and Europeans and what white people did. The only time we read about black people is slavery. So we believe that to develop a country means we have to imitate Paris, we have to imitate America. That's the measurement of excellence. We are not aspiring to do something extraordinary that the human race has never seen. We are not aspiring to do that. So I'm proposing the African Renaissance. Africans need to go back to rediscover themselves like the Chinese did, like the Japanese did, like every people who have defined themselves on this planet. They are the ones who can develop, not people who are copying and pasting other people's values and culture. It will never work. A lion will never be a goat.
Thank you. Tao, what's the alternative?
Okay. Well, I agree with a lot of what Silky said. But look at what happened here. Canada is not a nation. Canada is a colony. So let us just establish that. It's a colony.
We are not a colony.
and yeah, it's a colony.
Canada is not a colony. Colony of what?
It's a colony.
Gentlemen, wait. This is a debate. Let me land. You have your time.
Yeah,
we gotta fact check.
And the United States, is not even a nation. It's a gangster paradise. If
okay, all right. I see you guys.
I'm trying to put some premise in place first. It's a gangster paradise. George Washington, who is the founding father of one of them, was a terrorist in England with 13,000 pounds on his head. Okay, so they came here, they killed everybody here. They took the place. So they've been on a gangster racing. These are the people that put something together, and then we'll copy from them, and we are trying to use it, and it's not working. But look at what happened here. Sekou said something, and Leo, I agree with a lot of the things you said. We don't know who we are, and I've been saying it here, that if we come to this discussion, we have to go back and study history. We are the only people in the world that we are told that our history is of no value to us. So we see us trying to find ways to do things without historical background. History is not a thing of the past. History is always in the present. We are talking here today because we learned how to talk yesterday. We are told to forget our history. If you were told to forget everything that you learned in the past, you would pretty much be a fetal in the womb. You will go back to pretty much zero. So we are the only people. Everybody else dwell on the history, and it's from there that you draw inspiration. Leo, you said something. Because we're not trying to change ourselves. We are trying to change the things that people brought to us.
Why you call Canada a colony and not a state?
It is a colony. It's a colony of the British Crown. And the U.S. does not the U.S. does not condemn Canada because they are part of the collective West.
So there's no country in the world, right?
So they work together. The Canadian Prime Minister spoke at their economic conference. He said, "Look, the Western political system, the rule-based system, is false, it's fake, it's corrupt." He said, "We always knew it, but we didn't say anything because we benefited from it."
So by a definition, there's no nation state in the world.
No,
by a definition,
no. Look at what happened here. Look at the stability that is happening. When you look at France, what made them to call them France? They're a nation. They're a nation.
Okay,
a nation state is different. A nation state is different from a nation.
Okay, so whatever the definition is, I'm just saying, is there any?
Okay, no, I'm coming. A nation, common language, generally, common customs and everything else. So you see the French, when you go to France, they're largely French. You go to Germany, look at the fight between the German and the Dutch when they were together in one space. They tried to see multi-party Democrat. It could not work. They had to go to war.
Now, I ask a question. What is the solution? What's the alternative?
Okay. So look, no, I just wanted to point that out. That
Yeah.
the other people, they purify their groups. Africa deal with diversity better than them. If you create the same condition where you go cut a place from Germany, from Dutch, from the with the Belgian, you put them together, they would never be able to survive. They will fight among themselves. But the alternative is this. This is what I would propose. Yes, we'll go back and we'll rediscover ourselves. But we need to still look. The Gara system I'm talking about.
Is your alternative identity purification?
I'm coming to the alternative. The Gara system I'm talking about. Like the person want to put it like we are saying that election doesn't happen unless he didn't read it. They actually have elections, and no, it is not a caste system. What the Africans did, and they're not the only that practice the wall of
which system are you talking about again, by the way? That's what
the Gara system where it's a form of governance system that will come up in Africa. What they did was everybody that was born, there's record taking, and the Omori people in Ethiopia still practice that today for the last 2,000 years. They create census and they split people up into groups, and you are in these groups, and they educate and train these groups, and you are cultivated based on your contribution and your ability for you to be able to function in the system and work towards the interests of the state. You are promoted. When one group is in there, 8 years. After 8 years, they are removed. The next group, they're elected. There is election, general election that take place. Okay, so they don't just go and select you. Then, when that group is chosen, that group then will vote for one person that will actually lead them, that will be at the top, and they come in and they rule. So it is not a popularity contest. You are actually cultivated. No money is involved. You don't look campaign finance, none of this stuff. These are some of the systems that we can look at. Look, we are very similar in Africa. Look, we are very similar in Africa than we are to the Europeans or to the Chinese. So, because each time we come here, when a Canadian company or Chinese company get a contract in Liberia, nobody says anything. But the moment a Ghanaian company, everybody look at in Ghana, they give him come to Ghanaian, and this is hatred and so.
Thank you, Tao.
Look at that.
Thank you, Tao. Jimmy, the alternative.
Yeah. Okay, first I'd like to clarify: Canada is a constitutional monarchy and a parliamentary democracy.
What does that mean?
It's a combination of those two systems.
But one is superior to the other.
It's a colony.
I need to. It's a combination.
The parliament can be suspended by the king without any voice from the people. Period. The prime minister to the king can send the parliament and say, "All of your sack until you finish making decisions for your country."
I have heard that from all of the British colonies, the past colonies, and all of them who have.
It's not a democracy then in that case.
But I have not seen that ever happen.
It happened here 3 times.
Theoretically on the books.
It has happened here 3 times. It just happened here 2 years ago.
Since once it's written, that means it's legal. That's what it matters.
But besides that, Sekou, they have suspended parliament 3 times since I've been in Canada. They suspend, they send everybody home until they was.
And this is done by the British.
You go to court, you can swear on the queen or the king, and you commit crime is against the crown, not against Canada.
Not against
it's an interesting study. For me, what would be the replacement? I have to start with values, because we are what we value. If I don't value law, I'm going to be a rebel. I'm going to be a miscreant. You know, I'm just going to do whatever. What we are is what we value. So if we don't and that's why institutions are so important, because the institution embody the value of what you believe in. Okay, it tells you how to behave, how to act, how to conduct, and all of that. It embodies the value. So
I think what you say is let enforce our laws and enforce our values, because we have the values you're talking about. We're not abiding by them. We're not enforcing them. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, we're compromising way too much. We are, because we are individual. What we call ourselves. We believe in individualism more than an institution-driven republic. Personalities are bigger than the law. Personalities are bigger than institutions. It can't be like that. We can't remain like this. Is I remember these things way back in the 60s when I used to come visit. They said, you know who I am. We continually practicing these old policies. It's all about who I am, who I am, who I am. It's just in a different form. We can't be like this. We have to put our faith in our values. Everybody has to live by it.
It's the fact that we are not enforcing our values and we are not enforcing our laws, because the police officers should be able to stop any official or government from taking a lane that they're not supposed to take.
Exactly. So
allows that anyway, because he's intimidated by the position of the lawmaker.
He will lose his job.
All right. And he will not lose a job if he stands the ground.
Okay, that's how it should be. So until we need to start
collectively be able to enforce our values and enforce our laws. That's basically why you are saying, and I'm in agreement with you. Let's come to you, Dr. Pearson. What are the alternatives? Even though you stay with a liberal democracy, you say not perfect, but it working. So, but what are the alternatives?
Because I would like to maintain, and I think out of my fellow panelists for the interjections and for the contribution. What I would say here is that to Sekou, first of all, Sekou, your renaissance you're talking about is not a governance strategy. No renaissance can govern the country. So and then that goes to Tao. You have not told me an alternative, right? You have not told me if I just got rid of Western liberal democracy today from Liberia, you've not told me what am I going to replace it with. Your Gada stuff you're talking about, hasn't it been in Africa since you said it been there from ancient time to now? Can you show any comparative change in the location that's being practiced compared to the other areas Western democracy is being practiced?
Don't ask that question. Africa was invaded and it was suppressed.
Let me land. Hold on. The man is giving you alternative.
Because so Western democracy won over your Ghana.
If you Ghana and compared to Botswana, like my brother said, I myself went to Botswana. When I got to Botswana, and I'm going to give this for a reason. I went there for a conference. I attended some functions and things. Madam Ellen Johnson Salif got there. I went to the mall to go buy me some ice cream. I saw some young guys and jumping for fences, vehicles and things. Well, I mean, the country is so clean and nice. And then I told the guy who was driving us, our Liberian delegation was left and said, hey, beginning shiny. Ain't the beginning parent got money. Then the guy who drove by, he said, no, don't children have their own money. Don't children go to school for free. And they graduate from university for free. And then when they graduate, the government, how you call it, subsidize they're getting involved into whatever areas that they learn. The agriculture will give you a startup kids, your startup. They give you everything to start up as an agriculturist. So we said, but then the way Madam Ellen Johnson is, maybe she'll carry this back home. Zero. We were from LU at the time. Nothing went back to Liberia. So it goes back to what I'm saying. It's the individual, it's the drivers. And I think it goes down to what Leo said. Now we need to look and see how are we driving wrongly, and the vehicle that we are using. If we don't want Toyota, do we want Lexus? Can we upgrade from Toyota to Lexus? But in you're upgrading from Toyota to Lexus, don't go to Ghana, big. You don't go to Ghana. I would prefer to have what I have, and then I go to what Jimmy said. Listen, I think Liberia needs this.
You don't want to be riding donkey and wearing bumpers?
No, I don't want that thing. My man can't tell us go back to challenge.
So his alternative, he attack our ideas, so we got to respond.
But yes, my alternative, right? Yeah. Liberia can go back and revisit its constitution. And Liberia can fine-tune its constitution to suit the current day reality, and while working in Africa now in other form of democracy that's happening, because democracy has been practiced, I said, always been practiced in Africa. It's just got to fine tune it to get what we want out of it. And I will end by saying this, my brother. China alone got over 350 languages. Japan alone got over 15 or 16 different languages. Taiwan got more than 20 plus languages. No single nation in the world has just one language. Equally so, no single nation in the world has just one culture. Africa has never been a unified culture. Africa has been a splintered group of people, nomads, moving from here and there. And the day they end up in empire, they were all about conquering the neighbors. Like you see in Taiwan, to spread religion. When Islam was spreading, it was spreading religion. All right, it was spreading Islam. When Christianity was spreading too in your colonial time, they were spreading governance along with Christianity. There was never a unified Africa. Never. Dispute me if you want to, but there will be no records to show that there was a unified Africa with one language. It never has been. There has been multiple languages, multiple culture, multiple dimensions of change in governance and leadership. Until we can get us and fix us, no system will work in Liberia or Africa.
Sekou and Tao, I will come back to you to give you
a strong man argument, but for due respect.
All right, let me give you a minute to rebut.
Create a weak version of our argument and attack it. That's very wrong.
Yeah, Sekou, you have a minute to rebut, even though you close, but you have a minute.
I don't mind. I will give it a time to rebut. Let him go.
Anthony starting the debate over there. I got to rebut.
But other person will rebut too.
All right, then Leo, please go ahead. Leo, what should be the alternative?
I have a not completely different from some of the contributions that have been made, but I think I see it through a different lens. I'm the person who's, in my opinion, if a Toyota was what you adopted and you bought, you've already invested a lot in the Toyota. And let's say the Toyota is moving very slow, right? It's not meeting your optimal need or performance that you need. Instead of just saying, I will trash the Toyota, yeah, I'll go get a brand new car because the Toyota FEC. There are multiple ways I like to think about how do you adapt something to work for you. So does that mean I leave my house an hour early, right? Because we need to learn, we'll work with what we've got first, because the only way we can genuinely see the gaps and understand the gaps is when we understand the sophistication and complex makeup of what we have. If not, just because the Toyota running slow, you didn't find out what are the engine problem, what are the gearbox problem, what are the speeding problem. All you know, the Toyota were running slow. So somebody said, oh, my man had all kind of fast car, we can go buy the car. But what you didn't realize is that the engine of that car can run fast, but only lasts you 6 months. So you never understood why the Toyota was running very slow. Maybe because there's a very old model of Toyota that you're running. And now they got newer models of Toyota that move 10 times faster than the speed of the one you got. You don't understand any of that. But the fact that you established that the Toyota runs slow, so you say you must get a new car. Here's what I think. We must learn to do certain things well first. No matter which system you bring to Liberia, I care less whether the Gada one you talk about or Western liberal democracy, constitutional monarchy. If we don't learn to do certain things well, it will not work. Let me give you one. The basic tenet of any strong identity creation of any nation is language. Basic. It's been consistent. Doesn't matter whether from China to Great Britain to where. Watch every one of them. Whether to Ghana, let's even go to our own African, countries that are close by. The basic, strongest tenet of any nation building is identity, which is deeply rooted in language. In Liberia, from the 1800s, there has been a consistent effort to make sure language does not take root. So we are in a country where we have multiple languages. We don't understand neither speak anyone well. None. We are almost illiterate in all of them, even though we were among some of the earliest that developed scripts in some of our languages. But today, 90% of our population is illiterate in any language. We can speak English well. We can speak Ri and Repele well. We can speak Ri and Reva well. We can speak none whatsoever. Your own versus the foreign one. You're not efficient in any. So as a result of that, we have a fleeting identity. We're never too confident to say, me, I real va man. Because you va man, you can only drop one lines in va. When somebody presents you a va script right now to look at, you will be complete. In fact, foreigners can read your va script more than most people that ever lived in your country to this day. So for me, I'm very particular on this. Here's one simple low-hanging fruit before we run to a system. A system is the combination of building blocks. It's not a magical thing that you just drop. You build systems, you don't find them. That's the mistake we've made in Liberia. You have to build the tenants first. When you're building a house, and you get an architectural design first, the person draw the blueprint for you, look at it, whether you like it. When you like it, then you go to the construction drawing to see what kind of components you need to build a house. Then you go to the mason or the person that will lay the brick. So here's what we need to do. The first low-hanging fruit we got in Liberia is language. And I've made this argument. We can put French in our schools' curriculums, but we can't put Gio. We can't put Va. We can't put Mandingo. We can't put Pele. How is that not the stupidest thing ever that existed on planet Earth? Then people argue with me. They say, "Oh, because it's not written." Okay, let's make the argument. Fair enough, it's not written, right? How can we start teaching English to our children? And aren't you ABC song? They can start writing it for us. What is wrong today if tomorrow the president issues an executive order to say in Grand-Bassa, we know that the dominant language in Grand-Bassa is Bassa. Bassa will be a compulsory subject from ABC to grade 6. Because once a child can fully function in a language up to grade 6, it will almost never escape them anymore because those developmental years are crucial for the basics of it. While we talk about when we can make it written in 4 scripts, when we start to love it and learn it, guess what? Our next crop of educated people will start to study linguistics, right? To know how they can script it. Let's go to Lofa. Lofa got 5, right? What is wrong with putting all 5 in the curriculum and making at least 1 mandatory? If you Mandingo, that Mandingo you want to learn, and do your Mandingo. If you Loma, that Loma, do your Loma. If you're somebody who like languages, learn all 5 if you want. It's up to you. What is wrong with taking the low-hanging fruits that we already got first? Because guess what? When we strengthen those things, building a system will be easy because you have the key components that you have strengthened already that leads to you being able to say, oh, now if we want to build system, what do we need to include first? And we'll say language because we have a very strong foundation of what.
Yeah, but what is the objective now of learning the language? You got to make that clear. What is the objective?
Let me give you one. The objective
language is the vehicle. Anyway, let me finish.
It is unlocking your identity. That's the first thing. You need to know who the heck you are. You don't know who you are. You go to Ghana, you envy the Ghana people for speaking Tree everywhere, right? You go to Cote d'Ivoire, you envy the Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivorians for teaching Jula, and by the way, the teachers in their schools. People make this funny argument that English are the economic, like what better economic language? That is false. Your language is only as good as you make it. It makes no sense. If let me give you an example. If an investor wants to go to Rwanda to work, to do business, you know what they do? They find somebody that can speak Kenya Rwanda. Because Kenya Rwanda is the most popular language spoken in Rwanda. If you can speak Kenya Rwanda or don't have an interpreter that you hire, you can do proper business in Rwanda.
But that could be a barrier.
South Africa, parts of South Africa, you hire that white people learn how to speak Afrikaner and all these languages that were developed because economics is based on the local context. If you come Liberia, you want to go do gold money in Putu Mandi, you can speak any of the Southeastern languages or whatever, up to you. The people where Mango, you song and away, will speak if that is dominant language spoken there. So we need to invest in the low-hanging fruit. You cannot establish a system when you don't even know how to organize your language to be taught in schools. That's ABCs first. You must organize what becomes the system because you have to run it. And if you don't understand the tenets of it, you are wasting your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Leo. Mr. Miguel. The alternative.
You are muted.
You're muted. We can't hear you.
Still can't hear you.
He's not muted, but I think maybe someone.
You're good now. You're good. You're good.
Nope.
Your voice still can come out, even though you are not muted.
Yeah, go out and come
back. By the way.
Yeah, Sekou, go ahead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely I want to agree with a lot of things that Leo said. And I want to go back to Dr. Pearson's comment when he said, Renaissance is not a governance system. But you see, sir, there's something we all agree on here tonight, that there is a problem. And one of the things Mr. Jimmy mentioned very clearly, the values. The things you don't value, definitely you don't take care of. And when you want to talk about value system, and someone is talking about language, then you say, what is the purpose? Before a man value himself, he has to value his culture, his language, his people, before he can start even acting right. Because the mistake we are making, we think that the development will just come in a vacuum. That for some reason, our elite will go. We have leaders who have gone to some of the prestigious universities in the world, but they come back, they can't construct road because the value is missing. We have people who have gone to the best university in the world, but when they come back, they allow our country women to dance for them in the airport and put their lapa on the ground, okay? Because they don't see them as equals. So we're telling you that what has happened is that we do not value ourselves. It's a fundamental problem that happened to us. And that's what we are saying, why The African men refuse. There is no African country right now, maybe Ethiopia, that uses an African language for higher learning and scientific research. Probably, maybe Ethiopia, I don't know.
They do.
But
Ethiopia does.
the English language is better than any of the languages in Liberia.
And Eritrea.
In Eritrea, maybe. Why is it that we have not? We've been colonized, that's fine. Why we didn't go back to our local language then and develop it? Some of our research and PhD supposed to have been done now in our local language.
Sekou, can I interject? Sekou, quickly interject. At the University of Michigan, there's a white guy who I'm friends with now that's doing a PhD in Pele at the University of Michigan.
Right.
Wow.
There are scripts. I was surprised when the professor showed me a whole book written in Madingo with a Ngo script that UN and all they are writing in there, and I look at it, I'm illiterate in my language. We are the only people on the planet who are illiterate in their language and want to develop. The Koreans are literate in Korean. The Indians are illiterate in their language. The Chinese are literate in the Mandarin. They pick one out of the 3,000. They pick one, and they are literate in it. We are illiterate in our languages, and so we want to compete with the world. I'm saying that you are incapacitated in the education level value system. We are incompetent. We are not able to produce anything because we want to copy people's values and become them. And it's not possible. You will never speak English and more than the British guy. You will never be able to teach the American man how better. No matter even the Black American who have been there for centuries, they still cannot speak English better than the white man because that's his language. That's his value. That's his culture. I'm saying we go to the basics. We're talking about system. When you go to biology, you cannot have a system. You first need to have a cell. Then you have a tissue. Then you have organ. Now it is those components that will now become a system that will work very well. You don't even have the organ. You don't even have the tissue. Then you want a system. How does that work, sir? Your language is gone. Your values is gone. You want to build a nation.
Thank you. And that is a profound point, right? Because in Liberia, once you can speak the English language, you are mocked. Even though that is not your language. It's a foreign language. We criticize each other for speaking bad English. Even though we never mock at each other for not being able to articulate ourselves in our local vernacular.
Let me push back a little bit. I have
Dr. Pearson. Children were flocked in their schools for ever speaking their local languages.
I was one of them. They were
flocked in schools because they tried to speak their local languages.
Look, let me push back a little.
Mr. McGill,
just a little. Look. Yes, people were beaten in school for speaking their language in school. I agree, it's bad. There are people who are from certain tribes in the country can't speak their own dialect. That's not too right. I mean, that's not
those
right.
Those are not dialects, by the way. Those are languages. Let me correct that.
I can choose to call it language. It's still battle.
No, it's a different dialect. It's a slave colonial term that was developed to diminish language.
Okay. So let me change the English word to language. Does that satisfy you?
I'm very happy.
So look, let me say this. And Jimmy asked a very salient question. What is the purpose? What is the value for which you want a particular language to be spoken?
Because it's identity.
It's just not about identity.
Why are you called Clarence RPSing? What is the value for you being called Clarence RPSing?
Let me learn, right? If you impose VAR as the national language on a Bassa man, the Bassa man has the right to push back.
So who asks you to impose a national language?
No.
Let me learn.
The Bassa man is closer to the VAR man than the English man.
Let me learn.
Allow that person to speak. He never interrupted any of you, please.
Do not distort our argument. Nobody has
Yeah, he let him do straw man. It's very bad.
Feel comfortable for me to disagree, for us to agree. If you impose Bassa on me, the Gribble man, and you use my Gribble, it is an imposition as well. Now, let me tell you something. The same way you feel that
when Leo was speaking, he was clear. Hold on, Dr. Pearson. Let me hold up you there. When Leo was speaking, Sekou said the same thing. They were quite clear. They said, well, Leo specifically said, look, in Lofa. If you are a Mandingo man, learn Mandingo to read it and to write it, and Loma and the other languages. And he mentioned Bassa first. Saint Bassa is the general language spoken in Grand Bassa County. Let it be taught as a subject in Grand Bassa County. That's why he said. So they're not imposing it. And Sekou said the same thing. So go ahead, make your point.
Look, I'm not opposed to people speaking a local vernacular. And you say what you say, we shouldn't say that, we should say language, speaking a local language. I'm not opposed to that. If you're a VAR man, look, speak your VAR, all you want. If you Loma man, speak your Loma, all you want. If you Bassa, speak your Bassa. If you grow like me, you can speak English because you Congo man, speak your Congo as much as you want. But yes, what I'm saying, that vehicle must have a value attached to it that will drive the interest in that language. The reason why we all went for English language is because it came with certain outcome, certain benefits, certain.
It was imposed on you.
Hey, my brother. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this for a fact. If we as a people do not want English language as our first language in Liberia, we have the right to change it.
We can't even speak it. Only 20% of the population can speak it.
Exactly. So if you cannot learn English for over 179 years now, and you have up to university, you can speak it straight. What do you think the whole Liberia will speak vast straight?
But they're already speaking it. Majority.
No. I disagree. The population of people that speak vast.
All right.
It's not the whole nation. No.
You're not going to answer the whole nation. I said,
gentlemen, let allow Pearson to learn. We have to close.
Look, language is important, but the language that you want to prefer must have a value. If you ask me, I will not be arguing for language. You know what I'll be arguing for? I'll be arguing for technology as a new language for developing the world today. No, just hear me out.
What is the technology?
No. Just hear me out. Right? You are saying we should put emphasis on something and give it our best shot. And I'm telling you, if you ask me what we should take apart and give it our best shot, I will not be looking for language. I'll be looking for technology. Whether you call it ICT, or you call it information technology, or you call it digitalization of Africa or Liberia, I will want us to catch up and be on par with technological advancement in Africa. That will set us apart as compared to what you're talking about. Other of us must have to see language or something. We can work on that, but that's not a priority in my view.
Thank you. Gentlemen, we have debated well.
We
don't have much time, so I'm going to give each of you.
No, but Mr. Magil got to get a point before we go. We left for Mr. Magil.
Mr. Magil.
So, hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Making democracy work for Liberian people, we need good institutions.
Thank you.
We need strong institutions. We need to put system in place. We need good leadership. We need accountability. We need transparency. We need active citizen participation. To make democracy work for the people, we have to have some reform to give respect to the other system that make the country work one more at a time. If that system we giving power, they didn't give power to undo some of the things that we don't find good for the good of the people. So yes, we have democracy. We had the system with the three systems of government. But can we have something put in there in terms of the electoral colleges or strong institutions to say, okay, based on what we know and what we are saying, the Supreme Court is there should be doing it, but it hasn't done it. Okay, make them strong or have another body to that layer that will say, okay, we can suspend all of this because 99% of the lawmakers who representing, they are not even having results in changing the lives of the people, but just themselves. Or you need to have scorecards on each of the people that we go to school. We go to school, we learn, we come back with report cards. If you're not functioning properly, hey, your constituent come back and say, well, you're not worth to be us. We'll go back and do the process and let her implement that. We need to see most of that happening. If the lawmaker come back and can't function, let the community come out and say, my man, you're not good for us, we'll change you. And let it take that precedence.
Thank you. Well said. I don't disagree with that. You know, that's how the system designed to work. But we humans are not abiding by those things. And that's where Jimmy said, well, let's enforce our values, let's implement the laws, and let hold each other accountable and let increase the accountability mechanism. You put 1 minute of speech, Satyana.
Now the right way to talk it.
So when we do these things, we will get the results. Whatever system, whether we modify it, we refine it, if we are not enforcing all the elements of it to give us the desired result, it will just be the same waste of time. Gentlemen, let us conclude 30 seconds each, and let's start with you, Tao. Tao, for you, I will give you 1 minute because you wanted to report all along.
Yeah, look at what happened here. My brother, Dr. Pearson, you see how denigrating he is to Africa? Every time he mentions Africa vernacular or dialect, and even when it's pointed out, he just can't help it. I'm troubled. Can you even speak? Can you even speak Gribble? But look, gentlemen, it was a very good debate or discussion, and for me, these are the kind of discussion that I have interest in, because we are trying to get to the fundamental problems that are wrong. I don't have interest in coming here every day that we have girlfriend, I had child, and Yeke Koluba or at the person's house, and that is not a further division between us. But we need to come and discuss these kind of things. And I like this. But look, what Leo said concerning language is a very, very big part of it. Because Jimmy might know, or maybe McGill, but Tauber tried to do that. He chose Pele, because Pele is the largest language group. And he tried that, and he met all kinds of resistance.
He used to teach it at LU.
Yeah, it was at LU, but he was able to put it in LU, and he tried to see if he could put it in the schools. Because LU, that's too late, like Leo said. It need to start actually from kindergarten. But he was only able to stop it up there with all kinds of resistance. Because there were two things that I learned. One group is, some Pella people say, but how they will talk that on a secret and everybody know their language. Then the next one was, but how can you choose Pella? Oh, okay, because you see, talk about a Pella man. He married a Pella and her Pella girlfriend. So these two opposing sides, it became too much, and he just put it in LU, and it was not compulsory. It was not even taken. There was no incentive really attached to it. It became ceremonial, and it just became symbolic. And so language is very important. Dr. Kwesi Kapra, I don't know if you know, he's a Ghanaian professor that is in South Africa at a university with a friend of mine. They teach at the same university. He already did a work over the last 30 years. All of the languages in Africa is just 5. The rest of them are just derived. It's just like how the Kwa speaking. You have all these things, but just one group. When the Gribble men speak, I understand that's a Bassa man. When the Crown men speak, when the Crew men speak the Sabo, I understand. Even the day, I understand a lot of it. So even in Labro, we say we have 16, but when you start to put the mandate that you condense it, it's not much. So he already did that work. He published a lot of books. So it's a very simple area actually to start. Even while we are trying to maintain this, we can go in, modify some of the laws. Like we said, the representing the senators don't work. They don't work for us. They work for themselves, because you don't employ people, and the people set their own salaries and their own benefits. So yeah, you're done. If you hire somebody, can you go to your boss and say, "Look, my man, this is what I will make this year, and this is the kind of car that I will buy from your money"? No. So that system is inverted. So if we keep the same system now, while we are trying to build the structure like we all discuss here, we should go back and examine the present system. Like, yeah, Dr. Pearson agreed, and I mentioned it here. We should look at the Constitution, and we should try to redo that Constitution.
Thank you.
Let us remove power from the hands of the representative senators, and let there be an area that decide that. Let's remove them from development. What are they doing handling development fund? And put that crook stuff in place. So at least the existing system, we can tweak those while we're trying to build this system. But it was very good, and I look forward to us trying to have more of this kind of discussion.
And that's why we are committed to Ottawa. You have my word. We will continue to do our best, to do so, because these are the kind of discussion the nation needs. Jimmy, 30 seconds to close.
That's all I got. Okay, I got something I want to tell you. American English British English, Jamaican English, Liberian English are all dialects of English. It just what makes them dialects, just the pronunciation, the vocabulary may be different, the grammar and the expression, but they're all dialects.
Agree.
And I would just want to insert that. But having traveled as an early childhood, I have seen the power of language. You see what the language does. Language embodies your culture, your sense of humor, all kinds of stuff that language embodies. And so in Africa, if we don't use our own native African language, we lose that. We miss that. We become more like nations in the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, they've lost their connection to their African tribe, so they are compelled to speak English. But it is enhancing, it is unifying by being able to speak that language. It has a powerful force behind it. But what is even more powerful is when you believe in the same things, your value system. We have to commit ourselves to a value system and stick by it. That is going to be more powerful than anything, because what we've seen, why things are not working, because it's been compromised, it's been selective, it's been elevating other above another. And this has been the characterization of our dispensation. And until we have the mutual respect for each other and value each other the way we value ourselves, no change will come, and no beneficial change will come. That has to be fixed.
Thank you so much. Leo, you see Pearson and Jimmy, you see the Liberian flag behind us. You must show them respect.
I actually been checking that flag because I'm very careful and meticulous about these things. That flag doesn't look correct by the red stripe. That red stripe is wrong. So I will urge you all to please get the correct flag. I'm very meticulous about these things. That stripe are running right in the middle of the blue and not correct. Like
yeah, it's a little off.
Yeah, a little off. So anyway, that's what different. But I recognize it as a Liberian flag. So it has
that's a Liberian flag. It has the colors and it has everything.
All the major components. So you can't take that away from it.
All right.
Here's what I would say. If I ask somebody like my brother, Dr. Clarence Pearson, what's the value of you being called Dr. Clarence Pearson? Is there any value? If I tell you, say there's no value inside, throw your knee away. I can call you Puchu Ball. Throw your knee away. I will remove your PhD. What's the value of putting your PhD? Because you earned it, right? Your name was also, you inherited that. Your parents gave you that name, or however you got your name, because some people got their names in different ways. So I'll be careful about that. But it's something you have owned, that you call your own. Dr. Clarence Pearson, if you erase your name today, say your name Puchu Ball, it will not change who you are. But apparently, there is something valuable about your name, Dr. Clarence Pearson. So here is the value for me in your language. The value in your language is that it is the origin of your understanding of communication. It has deep lineage. In fact, it has a psychological mental effect based on research, linguistics. I don't need to tell you, there's scientific backing to it. So I'm not just speaking this stuff. And what we don't understand, our languages, like Pele. Pele is spoken all the way to Tunisia. Bassa is spoken all the way up to Tunisia. Look, I can name you many Liberian languages that have variations, but they are spoken all the way up to East Africa, straight along the route. But our inability to speak it, by the time we leave Liberia, we're in Cote d'Ivoire, right? Guerrier, that crown. Guerrier, that typical crown, Yakuba, that Gio. But we could not function it because we could not speak it.
Bedi is Bassa.
Yeah, it's Bassa. Yeah. But because we could not even function in it, so the people were speaking it there, we thought they were speaking foreign thing until our friend who could speak good Gio came to Cote d'Ivoire in Dananewa, and all of a sudden started functioning Yakuba because Yakuba is just an abbreviated version of Gio. Pretty much. And those languages.
Leo, I'm not cutting you off. I met a Togolese guy in Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
And his family came, they were speaking, and I realized they were speaking Kru.
They speak Kru. Kru is one of the largest one that extends across the coast, the coastal line. So if we want to even talk about value, think about how our brothers and sisters all of a sudden started working. Most of the guys that could speak Yakuba or Anthony, as soon as I got to Cote d'Ivoire, They started working, they got scholarships to go to universities and stuff because they could function in the local language.
Right.
The guys who could speak Betie, the guys who could speak all these Guerrier, all these languages. So let's just go to the raw value. Let's forget about the inheritance and piece of who we are, right? No country in the world that their local language is not a priority for communication. We see Ghanaian PhD holders here, right, in the West that have made it now that their language is interpreted at the UN General Assembly because they demand it. They made it nice interpreted in Geneva because they demand it. Our UNO educated people, we say our first language is English, but we can't understand half of the English. It's a problem. You go on the radio in Liberia and you say something before you get to radio, 3 versions of it have emerged in the population for something very practical that you said. It absolutely makes no coherent sense. But we stay arguing what is the value of our language. So let me say this to everybody. For me, it's not about the language. It's about us demonstrating for once that we can do one thing well because those are transferable skills.
Thank you.
If you can build a system of languages in your country, it's not about taking one. Speak all. You know what? For example, Pele is about 35 to 36% of the population. That's what happened in Ghana. Ghana got multiple languages, but 3 organically emerged as the overriding one because it has the largest population that speak Twi. So Twi has emerged. Everybody speaks Twi. So my thing is, forget about languages. I'm telling you, take a low-hanging fruit that people are already endeared to, learn to do one thing well so that our transferable skills can be moved on to other things because you've now learned how to build one thing systematically.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Miguel? Well, I think you spoke. Pierre, you got the last word, please.
Thank you. I think it was a valuable night tonight, and the conversation is very healthy. But this is what I was saying in closing, right? If there will be any Unity Party people who trying to be to push some lines undercover and say we should get away from critically evaluating the missed leadership in Liberia, that's not going to work. In fact, we'll soon be finding another topic to get on again on Joseph Boakai failed leadership going on in Liberia. There.
And you para CDC coming by in 2029?
Especially with the drug.
You para CDC coming by in 2029?
No, I have a strong belief, and maybe that's just me. I believe that the party does not have the problem that the people who in the party.
What is the difference? What is the difference between the party and the people who in the party that goes?
Yeah, because you can have an Ellen tomorrow, you can have a Boakai today, you can have a Leo
but that's
tomorrow.
The party. The party that are not empty canisters.
Yeah, you must have just said the same thing about.
Gentlemen, we have to go.
You must have just said the same thing about democracy, like
institution.
Right, right. So
individuals.
I feel the individuals who head the party will decide what the party become. That's what I believe. So that's why I'm afraid to attack the party, because tomorrow, if I attack the party itself and leave the individual who govern the party, tomorrow when Leo becomes the external burden, I'll be embarrassed to go and support Leo because I denigrated the party. So I will leave it open just in case they select you. But again, let me go further with this, right? Look, I don't want to learn Va, I don't want to learn Gio, I don't want to learn Mano, I don't want to learn Greba, I don't want to learn no local vernacular or dialect in Liberia, right?
Language.
I want you to open digital learning centers across Liberia, like the one that Leo got in Pinzo there.
In fact, we're teaching Pele there right now.
It can be inclusive. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I said what I want. I want to have that same modern center you build. I want that across all of Liberia. I want our children to start learning how to be digitally illiterate, literate, right? So you're gonna speak Greboyana. Gotta be illiterate, right? And at the end of the day, you know what I have to do? I engage the next 10 years from now, I will be speaking better while speaking English with my earpiece in my ear and your earpiece in your ear. I was just kind of say, that guy in your ear, your ear, and you see it. when I say, Paku Mami, in your ear, kind of eat. Because that's where the war is going. That's where the war is going. The world is not going to be waiting for the go learn Va and learn Pele. All the world looking for you to put earpiece in your ear. And by the time my girl speak Va, I hear in English.
Okay.
Or if I speak in English,
so you are assuming that English will always remain the dominant language. It was never the dominant language.
Yes. Yeah, we should respect our languages and all of those things. But my brother, put computer, put digital literacy in all of our universities, high schools, lower. If I had to train staff from kindergarten, I had to start below all
We
the
will build an operating
kindergarten.
system in Gribble.
That's what I want.
The computer operating system will be in Gribble.
Yeah, and no problem. So in closing, let me just say this on democracy. Right? Look, I think we are the problem, right? And I feel like we all have said, the drivers have the problem, and the vehicle can be fixed, can be repaired, can be adjusted, can be learned, and we can do better. If there's any change we want to make that will make it, to contextualize it for ourselves in whatever way, let's go ahead. By all means, let's do what we can do. But that vague way of saying democracy is not working, it's a failure. When T5 is a failure, when Joseph Burka is a failure, right? When Kun is a failure, then we say, oh, democracy is not working for me. That's not the point.
When Cummins is a failure.
Arrest me.
All right.
Pearson for comments.
So, gentlemen, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. We are way out of time. And gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much, and to those who have been with us throughout this broadcast and this debate. And that brings us to the close of today's debate. What we have heard today is exactly the kind of conversation that Focus on Liberia was built to carry. Direct, grounded, and willing to challenge what others take for granted. Democracy, I tell you this much, it's not a slogan. It is a system of governance that must produce results for the people who live under it. And that was the centerpiece of this debate. Thank you so much, gentlemen. You debated not only for yourself, but for Liberia on the issues. On that note, we have come to the close of this debate. The song that says we are all Liberians will close the broadcast right now. Tomorrow, we will have another debate. But tonight, I'll be cooking that debate, and you will be informed in the chat room, and it'll be on Facebook. Leo, I hope you'll make time again. We want to make this thing a little bit constant to debate serious issue. Thank you for coming, gentlemen. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm coming just because of that, the PSC. So.
All right. Thank you.
We are Liberian.
Liberia is our home.
Liberian people. Liberia.